Live. Yeah. And welcome to the Redeye stream. We're broadcasting live from the Oregon coast. And you know what really grinds my gears, Doku?
Oh, do
Memes.
tell.
Memes and his fucking workout videos. Who do you think you are, Richard fucking Simmons? Shut the fuck up. If I wanted to see some asshole work out while I'm sitting on my ass, I'd put on the fitness channel.
Oh, that's not a mental image I need.
All right. All jokes aside, we're gonna go into kind of a dark one right off the top. So, why don't we wait a minute here? Oh, looks like Pinoid's here already. What's up, Pinoid? So the first story came out October 2nd. Um, Sick online suicide challenge could be linked to 11-year-old's death. 11-year-old Italian boy died by suicide this week, and police are concerned his game is linked to a macabre new game sweeping social media called the Jonathan Galando Challenge, a possible revival of 2017's Blue Whale Challenge.
Wait, I feel like this is an old story because I thought I heard something similar, like
This
maybe
is
6 months ago.
this was put out October 2nd at 3:53. It was written by Gabrielle Von Rogue.
Okay, so then this would be the second time I've heard of something like this because I know it's not the Blue Whale Challenge. I know I heard there was some sort of a weird suicide game going on the internet, but again, this is like 6 months ago.
Yeah, this is really weird. The boy jumped off his Naples balcony around 1 a.m. on Tuesday after penning a disturbing message on his tablet that read, "I love you, mom and dad. Now I have to follow the man in the black hood. I have no more time. Forgive me." News.com.au, an Italian newswire, ANZA, reported. The child was reportedly happy, healthy, well adjusted, and played sports. It's Italy, though. Is soccer really a sport?
Oh, not gonna comment. Not gonna comment.
Cops are now probing whether the man in the black hood is a reference to an online character called Jonathan Galando, who asks children to do a set of horror themed tasks that culminates in a demand they kill themselves. The character, described as a cross between a human and a dog, with a round black nose, a creepy toothy grin, and long dark ears, was actually created by special effects producer Samuel Kanani back in 2012. He has no ties to the horror challenge, and the character was created for his own weird amusement. Um, we'll leave it there. You guys can look it up. I'm It is called the Jonathan Galando Challenge if you want to see what is going on. But there's a deeper message here because we had the Blue Whale Challenge. And I don't think it is really kids will do anything because what when we were growing up, the worst we had in high school was like you remember the knockout thing where you
Oh yeah, when someone tries to put you in a chokehold and see how long you can go before going unconscious.
Yeah, but there's a spot where you hit it just right and you pretty much go right down. A couple
Yeah,
people did die from that. And yeah, we were drinking and partying one night and that shit happened to me, Someone fucking laid me down that way. Bam, and I was out. But I started breathing again and I didn't purposely go out to kill myself.
well, I know I've definitely heard about this one before because I remember the. This has to be at least the second one I've heard of. So this isn't like brand new on the internet, but I know it did involve like uh kids writing a suicide note, but then they take it a little bit too far and they actually try to commit suicide, and unfortunately, in a lot of cases, actually end up succeeding, as we can see in this instance.
Um, I was thinking a different route when I read The Man in the Black Hood. Um, doesn't that almost remind you of the Slender Man murders?
Kind of, yeah, it does. It and it's not quite the same thing. Like I remember, what was that one famous case where there was like two, I think they were like middle school girls that ended up killing one of their classmates because they're gonna like sacrifice her to Slender Man or something like that. They ended up like,
Yeah, they did a movie on or a documentary on them, and those girls are. Yeah, I stuttered there because they're that crazy.
I mean, that's kind of the weird psychological thing, and I guess this is something new to the internet, especially with social media and younger kids, where obviously young kids are impressionable and everything, but I mean, hell, if we look at things like SCC report, and then just how popular creepy pastas can get and how good some of the writing can be, it, the lines for young kids, the lines between reality and fiction do get easily blurred. So I mean, I mean, how we already had the Tide Pod challenge, so you can see how people would do things like this.
Is this a sickness of social media? Us really not knowing how to control this monster that we let out of Pandora's box?
Uh, I guess you could make that argument. I would argue it's really more of an issue of because because social media does give us this sort of detachment from reality that, whereas like, I mean, we're not that old, but we're old enough to say like, yeah, when we were kids, like, no one's gonna sit there and tell me, hey, you see that bridge over there, little Timmy? Go jump off, you'll be fine. Don't worry about the rocks. Like, we'd look at you and say like, you're fucking crazy, dude. Get the hell out of here. Like, we wouldn't actually do it, but that's because we still, we knew what it felt like to scrape our knees and shit. Like, versus, a lot of kids are on social media nowadays, and they do have that detachment from reality, so they think like, yeah, I could jump off the second floor balcony, it'll be fine. They No, it's how you break your neck. At least that's my 2 cents on it. I don't know. What do you think, Dodge? Is it an attachment from reality? Is it just has something like this always been going on and we just don't hear about it as much? Or is the problem has the problem been exacerbated because of social media?
Let me pose a different way to look at it. Remember the Salem witch trials, where these girls were so bored that this story they were so bored and repressed. Don't leave out repressed, right? In this hardcore Christian society that they couldn't that even being told stories from the slave that was there, they made up this fantasy and it gripped an entire village in fear of witches where they actually started killing each other. um that type of what would you call that? What
Hysteria?
I'm trying to say is, yeah, that type of hysteria seems to be going to social media now. You have people, like, did you see that photo set on Twitter? Someone miscarried, and their fucking husband took a picture of it because they told him to, and posted it directly to social media from the hospital.
Oh
I mean,
yeah, that was
what are these people thinking?
she was a celebrity too. That's Chrissy Teigen. I don't know what she played in. I don't pay attention to celebrities, so don't ask me.
Yeah, but what are these people thinking? I mean, it's just they don't understand how to control this social media monster. And some of that monster can go into, the bullying aspect and all that. But what we're talking about here is the youth are really um, losing reality. I mean, that's the only way you could really explain it, right? They killed themselves because of a mythical dude in a black hood that looks like a cross between a human and a dog. How stupid can you be? My fucking 6-year-old is smarter than that.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of the point I was going with originally is because let's be honest, dude, we're living in an age where because of social media, people think oh, what's the word or the saying? Words are violence. I'm literally shaking. Like they can't detach reality from fiction, and social media unfortunately kind of blurs those lines because they think, somebody saying something mean on Twitter is literal fucking violence, like the same as being punched in the face. This is just an extension of that type of mindset. At least that's how I view it anyways. Like, God forbid they actually go out there and play football and break a bone or something. Then you'll know what actual violence is like. Hey, go get bullied on the playground. Get out of your safe space. It'll do you
Yeah,
some good.
yeah. I said what's up to Pinoid already. What's up, Mitch, Brian, and TM Ryder says, yo, to be honest, you're the second live chat to have that title. Yeah, we're gonna get into the mask thing because of the president. That's gonna be, the main discussion here. I just wanted to talk about a couple of news stories before we got into that boring fucking topic.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's pretty fun if you if you look at it from a certain perspective.
Yeah, you need to chase the black hooded man. I'm kidding.
Chase him right off the first floor balcony into
I'm
the
kidding.
bushes.
All right. So, let's see here. Did you have a story? You said yesterday you were looking stuff up. If not, I'll pull up my second story here on my phone.
The only few things I did manage to find, I think MC covered on his stream earlier.
Nobody watches him. No, I'm kidding.
I would love if MC popped in right now.
Yeah, I'm just kidding, MC. You know I'm not throwing shade. Don't drone me, bro.
No, he's not going to drone you. He's just going to hit you with a space rock.
Yeah, you already burnt down my forest. Shit.
Oh, actually, that does remind me of something funny I saw. Uh, Apparently, all of the wildfires are being blamed. I forget by who,
Um,
but on
breaking news. 1 hour ago, Eddie Van Halen died at 65.
uh,
Yeah. Wow.
welcome to 2020.
Um, he was fighting cancer. His son did confirm it. It's not a hoax. Yeah, that really sucks. What's your favorite Van Halen song?
Oh, I don't think I actually have a favorite.
Yeah, I just remember that fucking album. Like, and it's mainly the cover that's stuck in my head.
Yeah, I can't really say I have a single favorite song. I just know I just like Van Halen. Uh,
Oh, go ahead.
oh no, I was just scratching my head thinking. I don't have a favorite. I really can't pick.
All right. Well, yeah, sorry, the who is Eddie Van Halen? He was a guitarist in Van Halen. And if your next question, Penoid, is who is Van Halen, I can't help you. Sorry. I refuse to explain to a grown man who the band Van Halen is. Go ahead and go with your story about the wildfires, and then I found one of a psycho 32-year-old that should be interesting. I'm going to go ahead and mute, so go for it.
All right, there's not much to this story. It was just something I saw in passing where there are a few I guess you could say talking head political pundits, activists, and one or two politicians that are blaming all of the wildfires on conservative Christians because they refuse to acknowledge climate change. That that's the story.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got a phone call from a lawyer who's blaming the power company and took my case. So the lawyers seem to disagree.
I just thought it was funny. Like you're going to blame specifically Christian conservatives. Pretty sure there's Christians on the left too, but I guess we can ignore them. But no, just ignoring climate change. Silence is violence. Your refusal to acknowledge the fact that we have four seasons is what's causing wildfires. I
Oh, okay. All right. So, so the way it's going down is the fire that started up by my house. That was started by a down power line. So, word is the power company is probably going to be liable. Ouch for the power company. That's going to hurt. But in my opinion, which I have stated before, mismanagement of the forest is the contributing factor to these fires. Once again, back in the day, lightning or a down power line would happen, a fire would start, and then it would burn out because there wasn't as much dry, dead undergrowth. When the lefties decided to not remove or clear forests or build or do anything to them, this undergrowth has gotten so thick. Yeah, the rangers go out alongside the highways and clean up the undergrowth and stuff. Sure. Do you think they go all the way in the middle of the fucking forest down pothole ridden logging roads that are over 50 years old because they're not allowing logging anymore? Do
of
you
course
think
they
they're
don't.
going out there and clearing that up? Then you're batshit insane. Do you think the power lines are still going across there? They are. They're linking cities that are in the Willamette National Forest. So you still have the fire threat, but you have no control mechanism for it. It's ridiculous. It's not climate change. And the people saying it is climate change are either retarded or weren't there. I was there. I saw the undergrowth. I saw the woods around my house. And I saw fuck all being done about it. And then I saw my house burn and my car melt. So don't tell me it's climate change. How dare you, to quote the next Nobel Peace Prize winner?
Oh God. Uh, I had forgotten about her too. But yeah, no, to blame it on climate change. Okay. Let's go back over the course of history and just recorded history and see see what temperature it takes to cause a brush to become dry, at least dry enough that it can easily catch fire from a spark or an ember. It spoiler warning, been going on for a while. This is not new. It has nothing to do with the Earth's temperature raising by a quarter of a degree. It was like that back when the Earth was slightly cooler. Nothing has changed.
Well, yeah, and to get into some of the nitty gritty parts of climate change. Hey guys, yeah, Antarctica, one side of it is melting at an alarming rate. It's pretty crazy. You know what's going on the other side of the continent? The ice is getting 10 times fucking thicker. It's a balancing act. Welcome to Mother Nature, people. Kind of like MC's story earlier about the seals, the story he ended on. Okay, yeah, we almost hunted them to extinction. Now we don't hunt them at all, and we're being eaten by great white sharks. Funny. Maybe go back to hunting them.
Actually, there was a climate study that was done. I believe it was by I think it was a French group actually, where they launched a satellite. I think this is like the late '90s, and for half a decade they studied vegetation. Specifically, what the satellite did is it scanned for different color tones, and it was looking specifically for shades of green to see how dense vegetation was in certain areas of the world. And after like 5, 10 years of study, what they found out is that when vegetation on like one side of the planet, specifically, it started out where they were studying the Amazon, they were looking at deforestation. And what they noticed is that when vegetation in one area of the planet started to decrease, it would actually increase on an almost 1-to-1 ratio somewhere else in the planet, so that within the larger biosphere, vegetation hasn't gone up or down. It's stayed pretty much consistent. It's just the density of vegetation has changed based upon where it's located globally. But it's pretty much stayed flat even for the 10 years that they did this study.
Yeah,
So does the climate change? Yeah, sure. Does regional climate change? Oh yeah, sometimes very drastically. But globally speaking, yeah, you'll be waiting, your grandkids will be waiting for the ice caps to melt in New York City to be underwater. It ain't coming anytime soon. There's no
well,
evidence to support that.
yeah, and Aunt Jack says, "Twisted Sister, we're not gonna take it." Should be your theme song, Mad. I am okay with that as long as I don't have to wear the makeup.
All right, fine. You can dress up as Kiss.
CSG, I'm doing all right. We'll see in the next couple days. Um, Something might be happening, something might not. I'm not gonna hedge my bets yet. Uh, and to go on and back you up, Doku, you know the Mojave Desert? You know that was green at one point, right?
Oh yeah. So was the Gobi Desert at a certain point in time. Thousands of years ago, but
Yeah.
still.
Was that dinosaur made climate change? Did they have cars?
We're gonna have to regulate the dinosaur farts. Fucking T-Rex farts.
No wonder they turned to oil. It all makes sense now.
We're doing some big brain stuff here, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Um, Son Joel Guy Jr., 32, who ambushed parents, then horrifically butchered and boiled them for their $500,000 life insurance, is convicted. Joel Guy Jr., 32, was found guilty Friday of 2 counts of premeditated first-degree murder, three counts of felony murder, and 2 counts of abuse of a corpse, news outlets reported. Um, let's,
What?
yeah, and I'm gonna see if this will work.
He boiled them.
That's the guy, and if you can't see it, his eyes are completely red in the picture, and look how wide they are. Homeboy was on some drugs.
Yeah, he definitely has the crazy look about him.
CSG, yes it is. Go ahead and feel free to click on it. All right. And yeah, I haven't shaved. You know, living in a tent with only one little power outlet, I choose my laptop over my razor. Fuck it. But no, he was convicted. He boiled his parents though. Okay, I get it. You want life insurance. Why are you eating them?
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that one. Like you boiled. Oh, okay. Um, I guess I guess people have done crazier shit, but damn, dude, the fuck. I don't really know what to say about this one, other than dude is fucking batshit crazy.
Yeah, what do you think's gonna happen in prison when someone like that goes out on the yard? Usually, either they're killed or people just stay the fuck away from the crazy cannibal guy. you know,
And that's a good question, one that I do not have an answer for.
you don't want to hypothesize at all. I think people are gonna leave him alone. I I know he does kind of look like a marshmallow though. Probably killed his parents with a gun, right?
Either way, I'm not going near him. Fuck that. Fuck that.
Yeah, they're boiling chicken for dinner, and he's just staring at the pot, drooling slightly. Uh, all right. Let's get to it. President Trump was released from Walter Reed Medical Center. It turns out everybody other than Pence in his general circle has COVID. They all got the coof. All around the same time. Now, on one hand, this would make sense. They're advising the president. They're talking to him every day. If he caught it, he probably caught it from one of them. You know what I mean?
And that would make sense. What I want to know, and this is what doesn't add up to me. If they're all catching it right now at the same point in time, because you know this, they've been tested before. This is not the first time they've been tested. So you're telling me that he's been holding rallies ever since when? With how many people? And they're just now catching it? I don't know. Seems a little suspect. Seems a little suspicious.
Yeah, and since we have the delay between StreamYards and the chat, in regards to our prior story, Pinoid says he will be in Supermax. Uh, that would make sense. Yeah, I totally see that. Probably in Shoe, the isolation unit.
Actually, I'd be surprised if he wasn't in Supermax. Dude fucking killed and boiled his parents.
Well, I mean, he's only a danger to his parents, right? I say free. I'm kidding.
Yeah, we're not going down that rabbit hole.
but when the president got off of Marine One, he walked to the top of the steps of the White House. People say he looked winded. I didn't see that at all. He did take off his mask. There wasn't anybody fucking near him, so what's it really matter? But he took off his mask and breathed into the DC air. So now all of DC has COVID, right? I mean, that's what CNN would have you believe.
Oh, and I love how they're freaking out. So first off, the whole issue of everybody is just now catching COVID. Like what we have Hope Hicks, which is where there's originally where they were saying it was coming from, and then they said no, it happened at the debates, which I really do question that narrative because they said, oh no, tested everybody before they entered the building. So you're telling me that Trump, Melania, and all the rest of the family entered the building negative and then came out positive? Yeah, that seems suspicious.
Well, what's even weirder about that is they came out and said they tested everybody. And then Chris Wallace came out after, this is only after the president's diagnosis, and then said, oh no, President Trump showed up late, so he didn't get tested. He could have had it then. Well, then you lied to us, Chris Wallace, to begin with, or you're lying to us now. But either way, you're still a liar.
And either way, he's lying. And again, if Melania and the rest of the Trump family all entered negative, where did he get it? Did he get it from Hope Hicks? I mean, that would actually make more sense. I still find it questionable, but that would make more sense. But they're saying, "Oh no, we traced it back to the debate." Then that means someone there was positive, or this whole thing was bullshit. It Either way, it doesn't really add up. I find the whole thing very suspicious. But again, the guy's been holding rallies with. I don't need to. I don't even need to say how big the fucking rallies are. I mean, look at the fucking size of them. You're telling me this dude hasn't fucking tested positive yet, and it's just now after the debates that he tests positive? Okay. It, Perhaps it's just very coincidental, and I'm thinking way too much into it. But I find it again. I find it very suspect. But then now you have
Yeah, and
Now you have Kylie McEnany and what are the other two Republicans? They're testing positive, but then Pelosi and Schumer refuse to get a test. It, I don't know, guys. I don't know about this one. It it's questionable.
um, how hard would it be to pay off the person who administers the test? That's it.
I
I
mean,
said it. It's on everybody's mind.
if
I'll be the guy to say it.
if
I have
Ilhan
the
Omar can pay
tinfoil
off
hat on it.
$200-300 to get somebody's ballot, then I'd imagine not that hard, not that much,
So you could
especially if
fake
they're
these
against Trump.
tests. So you can fake these tests if the test giver is a partisan hack, right?
Well, you don't have to be a partisan hack for it to be faked.
Well, no, but it would just be easier. You wouldn't even have to pay the fucker, right? You just go, hey, you hate Trump? He's got COVID now. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
True, but I mean, from what I can see and from what he's said himself and the doctors that he's had around him, and I wouldn't go down that road of trying to say that, oh yeah, it wink wink nudge nudge, he's had it. For me, it would be a case of if his doctors were saying and he was saying that he's got it, he's probably had it.
Well, that's fair. Because he's never said that he didn't have it. I I do kind of I don't believe that his oxygen level fell to a dangerous low. Just because it fell from 100% to 93% isn't even in the danger zone at all, right?
Well, medical field is not really my thing, but just looking at it from, I suppose, a common sense issue. If he was supposed to have first contracted it properly around about 2, 3 days ago at max, and was having problems yesterday and the day before, breathing really badly, to supposedly having this issue of him being ventilated and so on and so forth, then if that was the case, then why is he up and walking about and doing press conferences and working? If he was literally near death, like some people want to report, then why is he up and walking about like nothing's happened?
Well, yeah, and from what I hear, it's actually quite dangerous to be put on a ventilator if it's not needed. It's quite evasive.
I would imagine so. If you're adding oxygen to your oxygen levels in self, because obviously most people don't actually realize, but oxygen is actually a poison. In actual fact, it is one of the most deadly poisons that we can actually have, which is when you're oversaturated with oxygen, you actually die quicker than any other venom or poison that's put into your body. But that's neither here or there. That's just a factoid that literally means nothing.
How long did Boris have COVID? He was down and out for quite a while, wasn't he?
As far as I'm aware, he was out for a good 7 to 10 days, as far as I'm aware. But that's just my memory. I could be wrong on that one.
And that was at the very beginning of the pandemic.
I think it was around about March or April time. Yeah.
So it would make sense that he would be down and out longer because they didn't know how to treat it. Which now they keep talking about this vaccine. I'm not convinced we need it. I think we know how to treat COVID now. And I was watching somebody a little bit. Well, no, this was yesterday. I was watching Lionel Nation, and Lionel brought up a very good point. Um, I don't know how it is over there across the pond, but here in America, we tend to forget stuff rather quickly. Like, you remember H1N1? You,
Oh yeah.
right? What about the murder hornets? Those, no one's talking about that.
Well, to be fair, we didn't get them. We just had a big news spread about that the US was going to get them.
Yeah, they're in Oregon. That's nice. Well, they were. The whole forest burnt down. I bet they're not here anymore. uh,
See, that's something that I'd really like to put on, not the fire burning and everything else like that. But I think a lot of people are harping on about the idea of how climate change is changing. And I think anybody that looks at the science is and would say that it is changing. But is it changing to a drastic degree? And is it natural or unnatural? If you look at the Zoic period, where temperatures were on average 36 to 39 degrees on average year round, that's already a 10-degree increase on average, or at least around 5, depending on where you are, obviously. And that's just an average. So when they say that the Earth's never been that warm before, did the fucking bugs go around and start making lots of methane that caused the Earth to shift? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that climate change isn't happening. I don't believe that it's man-made, or such to a point of it being a massive contributing factor that if we change the way that we are, then it will change everything else. I think it's just a natural cycle that the Earth goes through.
well, yeah.
There
Oh,
was
go
a
ahead.
there was a study. Yeah, sorry about that, Mia jumping out. My computer decided it was going to be a very opportune time to restart. But there's somebody who did a study from, I think it was the 70s up until it was either the late 80s, early 90s, where through this roughly two and a half decade period, they determined that the impact of human activity on global climate change was anywhere between 1% to as low as 0.002.
Well,
So,
yeah, and I was gonna bring up Doku, and you can continue. But anybody else hear about the Little Ice Age? It was the medieval cold period.
yeah, that
Yep.
happened. That happened before industrialization was a thing. So, is climate change real? Yes, of course it's real. We have things called seasons. Now, what is the impact of human activity on climate change? I don't know. Probably less than that of a volcano, from what we can tell. So, we don't need to destroy our entire economy pushing for things like the Green New Deal in order to combat climate change. Like, to be blunt, it's kind of pretentious and arrogant of human beings to think that they have that much impact over the earth, especially in regards to the earth's climate. uh, think about it from a very base level standpoint. You do realize that everything that is on this planet, whether it's a solid, a gas, or a liquid, it was all here unless it came from outer space, like from a space rock. It's all been here before in one way, shape, or form. Yeah, the climate's going to change. Things are going to change. That's going to happen. And what manner it changes, time will tell as technology progresses. But to think that we're going to have that significant of an impact over the Earth is just it. It shows a very, very, very base level comprehension of exactly how the climate and the ecosystem on a geological level, on a planetary level, actually works.
No. I mean, I actually agree with most of what you said. I mean, I would probably put the percentage up to around about 8 to maybe 10% of humans interacting and changing climate. But again, put that into context. That means 80% of it to 90% of it, depending on how you want to frame it, is going to be completely natural and, you know, pull in that way. But one of the arguments I always find really interesting for people that are pushing the climate change issue is to do with the fact of how animals and everything else of that are going to be affected, and how 99% of the animals are going to be extinct or whatever. If
But
it's all to
actually,
do about
oh, sorry, go ahead. I cut you off. My bad.
that's fine. all I was going to say was that if it comes down to that as being your premise of your argument, then why is it that you want to change all of your social and economic standings and policies? Why is it not a case of that you actually want to, clean up the ocean? Why is it not that you want to make sure that you're planting, I don't know, something like in the region of 1 billion trees or, something like that? Why is it a case of you're not actually doing things to improve the environment? You're actually just trying to change things politically.
Well, and what the study that I was referring to, the conclusion they came to is the number one impact in regards to human activity and climate change had nothing to do with the burning of fossil fuels or petrochemicals or even lighting fires so you can stay warm at night. The number one impact that humans have in regards to climate change actually comes with hunting. So, like for example, hunting the wolves in North America that allowed the deer population to expand rapidly to the point where it's out of control. That actually had a bigger impact than however many cows we fucking breed because we like steak. It's the hunting of natural predators. Like whaling actually had a really big impact on climate change from what they estimate. And it wasn't that it actually heated up the earth; it actually cooled it down because the whales were eating all the algae, and the algae are a larger producer of greenhouse gases than any fucking coal-powered power plant from the Industrial Revolution. Whaling had a bigger implant than coal-powered power plants, and it caused the earth to cool, not warm.
Well, no, and here's the thing. And the Republicans are arguing it this way pretty much now, which is the right way to argue it politically. It's not necessarily right, but whatever. They go, okay, fine. We'll grant you climate change. Sure. Man-made? To an extent. Why not? The United States can't do anything about China's output, and us stopping our output completely doesn't change anything. You need the entire world. And then the Democrats go, Paris Climate Accords. Nobody was achieving those numbers. Nobody. And this whole idea of carbon credits, fuck off with that shit. Okay?
Oh, dude, that's like the same. That's like the same thing where Al Gore put that policy in place where you could pay like an extra tax. This is like back in the early 2000s for anyone that doesn't remember. But if you're going to take an airplane flight, you could pay like an extra tax for it's like a carbon tax. So, and people were under the impression like, oh, if I pay this extra money, then yeah, there's going to be less fuel or less carbon emissions from the jet fuel that's getting burned off. No, there isn't. No, the jet engine is going to run the same damn way. There's not some button in the cockpit that it's like, oh, Johnny B in first class seat 2A paid $500. Let me just go ahead and hit this button real quick, and there's going to be less jet emissions from our flight from here to a fucking Paris or Beijing. No, dude, that's not how any of that works. It's all a fucking scam, and the fact that you guys fell for it is freaking depressing.
Batman has a question for you, Doku. Wait. If plankton produce a lot of the greenhouse gases and whales eat the plankton, surely whaling would have made the ambient temperature rise.
Yeah, no, that's exactly my point. Is the fact that there was more plankton. There was more plankton at the point in time before the little ice age. It was whaling that was killing off the whales who were eating the majority of the plankton. So the plankton population went up, and that's what caused the Earth's temperature to rise, which is what killed the mini ice age. Was actually things like whaling.
All right.
Perhaps I'm explaining that poorly.
Oh no, I understand. And
I don't.
All right.
So no, I'm only jesting. I'm jesting.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say no. It's during the mini ice age. The fact that there was a lot of whaling going on, it actually killed off, or a lot of plankton ended up repopulating, and the Earth's temperature started to go back up due to whaling, because people need fucking oil. Specifically, at that point in time, it was whale oil.
Yeah, but you said it went down. You
No,
said whaling made the temperature go down.
Then I jumped the shark in my explanation. No, it was
Oh, you didn't just jump the shark. You had sex with its daughter.
no, it was when there was a lot of unrestricted whaling that the Earth's temperature actually started to rise.
Really speaking, my opinion on the whole global warming thing is, yeah, we probably have like 1 or 2% of an effect on it. But the Earth, I mean, it's pretty proven there with geology and stuff. The Earth does go through climate change, and sometimes, even sometimes before those humans, that climate change was pretty rapid.
And also, just give it 1 or 2 good volcanic eruptions, and watch the region just go complete tits up.
Oh yeah, like the year without summer, the day that volcano not far from Krakatoa exploded.
Yeah, I was thinking about bringing that up, but I decided to go with the mini ice age instead.
Hello, Matt.
Hey, screw you, Bat.
What do you mean, screw you, Bat? I just said hello.
I know what you meant.
Yes, I meant it as a form of greeting. You fucking cunt.
Yeah, that's better. How are you, Batman?
You homeless hobo.
Hey, that's a little harsh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, you homeless YouTuber. Not better.
A little bit.
Oh, I'm all right. No, climate change is going to happen irrespective of if there's humans on the planet using technology or not. The funny thing is, all these people into this zero carbon emission technology, they're dead set against nuclear power. And
Yes, they are.
far, nuclear power is safer than any of these green technologies.
Yeah, but
And cheaper to run.
Screw nuclear. They're down to what, a decade, and they believe they're gonna have a fusion power plant about the size of a tennis court. That's amazing.
Or not.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
We are close to fusion power, but that doesn't mean that we'll get it in our lifetime. Close is a relative term.
That is true, but the story came out 2 days ago. There is a company that claims they will have it in a decade. But then again, I think Elon Musk is supposed to be at Mars in what, 3 years?
Oh, Elon Musk has already got the secret of antimatter reactors.
So he says.
Let's. I mean,
Wait, are you serious?
No.
That's the reason why I said so he says. That's the whole reason why I said so he says. He says a lot of things.
Do you remember back in the 90s, there was these two scientists claimed to have discovered the secret of cold fusion? They were lying.
Yeah, but you know who wasn't lying? Tesla, when he said he had a ray gun.
There's another thing Tesla wasn't lying about. And he said, "Oh, that fucking hurt." Yeah, because those fucking coils. It's also how he invented the afro.
Oh dear.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so another story that popped up on my radar. You know Adult Swim? Cartoon Network late at night plays cartoons for adults, right? They have this.
Never. They don't have Adult Swim. How dare you say Adult Swim?
No, adults drowned.
True.
What they had on there was the Boondocks, which is a great cartoon. It used to be a comic strip, I believe. But it's very, I guess, edgy, right? One of the episode is called, well, the N-word with "guh" at the end, because I don't want to be banned from YouTube moment. That's
yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what it is?
Shut up.
Neville with glue.
Oh, is that with an ER or an A?
Yeah.
Hey, But they are now censoring episodes of the Boondocks and other Cartoon Network shows.
I
Don't
still
you?
don't. I still don't see why that word, like any word really, should be prohibited.
Neither do I. But Doku, what the fuck? That cartoon, I believe, is written by a black man, right?
What did I? Oh, let me guess. We're talking about Boondocks.
Yeah.
Hold on. Don't you mean a man of color? Sorry, a male identifying person of color.
I don't know what we're allowed to say anymore, and I keep hearing more and more people saying black instead of African American, and I don't like hyphenating American with
Wait,
anything.
they can't be
So
African American because not one of them has dual citizenship with an African country and the United States. Therefore, they're just American.
Don't be silly. Don't take away their culture and their heritage away from them.
The Dutch did that.
It's all they've got. It's all they've got.
Sorry, CSG, but the Dutch did that when they sold them to the Americans.
Oh
okay,
dear.
okay. The opinions expressed on the Redeye stream are not necessarily the opinions of the channel's owner or any of the panelists.
Seriously, though,
That being
if,
said, don't take away what culture? Fried chicken and watermelon? Fuck
if you look into
I mean,
the
you give yourself
transatlantic
a way
slave
out,
trade,
my dodge. You gave yourself
yeah,
a way out, and then you just threw yourself back in there. I mean,
both feet.
that's just amazing.
He
It's just like I'm
didn't.
going to decide to
Like,
leave my mum's vagina, but I'm going to do it with my feet first.
CSG, he didn't just throw himself back into it. He dipped his big toe in to test the waters, then took a running jump and a dive.
Yeah, and then realised it was solid ice.
Whatever, that was a good joke. Fuck off.
Yeah, it was. But no, seriously, if you look into the transatlantic slave trade, it was almost all Dutch.
And Spanish.
Yeah, they
Hey.
were going the other way though. They were taking slaves from South America into Spain.
I know.
You just hate the Catholics, you
Yes.
Protestant bastard.
Damn an atheist, actually. I hate the lot of you.
Yep. I'm just going to agree with Batman on that one. Yeah.
But Doku, fundamentally, obviously, I know
Fundamentalist.
you're against censorship, but really, Cartoon Network has never done this before. I mean, come on, what the fuck?
It's really not surprising, to be honest. I mean, they had oh, what the hell is the name of their little robot host on Toonami? Tom? I think it's Tom. But they had like this long, like preachy BLM speech.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it's pandering to an extreme. Like they're talking about like how all lives matter is harmful and da da da. It's you guys can go look it up. It's on YouTube. I think Mr. Obvious did a good video on it. It's fucking ridiculous. But no, this doesn't surprise me because Boondocks was always, again, yes, written by a black man, and it was making fun of the negative aspects of that culture, and that's what it is. It's supposed to be satire. Like you could argue that Family Guy and American Dad and Bob's Burgers, they all do the same thing, but for different cultural demographics. But apparently, we have to have protected communities. Like certain people are just, you're not allowed to make fun of them, and it's offensive. It doesn't matter who the creator is. And so no, it's a cultural taboo. Not allowed to make jokes. No fun allowed.
Well, yeah, I'll follow that up with another one. Cleveland, the actor.
Oh, that was even stupid.
Yeah, the actor who played Cleveland was a white man. He quit, retired, as he likes to put it, probably forced out. And they replaced Cleveland with a YouTuber who does Cleveland impressions.
It's MC, isn't it? They replaced it with MC.
No, MC's too white.
No, he isn't. He isn't. I've seen his videos where he's doing like that. Can't touch this and the Adams Family rap and all that.
You know what I want to say to all these people who are like freaking out about how the Boondocks is insensitive and it's this and that and everything. I guarantee you, not a single one of these motherfuckers will sit there and talk shit about Afro Samurai. And if they did, I'd be pissed because Afro Samurai is fucking amazing.
Can I ask you a question, Doku? The Boondocks, it's comedy, right?
Yeah.
Then it's supposed to be insensitive. Comedy is by its very nature insensitive. The oldest joke in the world is an old woman tripping over a fucking rock.
No, I know, but again, it's okay as long as you're making fun of the right people.
See, that's one thing that I really do get annoyed at. Like, I understand that if you're going to do versions of protected classes and so on and so forth, fine. I understand the reasons and rationale why you're thinking that. You think that they cannot handle it, and for some reason they're a weaker race or culture in general. That's why you want to protect them. I get it. But if you're going to go down the road of trying to say that people are equal and should be treated equal, if you're going to take the piss out of Christians, you take the piss out of Muslims, the same as you would do out of Jews, the same as you would do out of Hindus, so on and so forth. If you take the piss out of white English people, you take out the piss out of white Americans or French or whatever. You know, if you're going to do things equally, then you do it in equal measure. You can't just cut people out and say, right, we're not going to take these people because somehow they're more equal than what we are, so they're not allowed to be taken a piss out of for some whatever reason because somehow it's racist. It's racist that I don't include you in the in-joke? It's racist that I don't include you? Okay, sorry about that.
Well, no, that's a good point, but I dare you to draw a picture of Muhammad and put it on social media.
You
will be hunted down.
I did that about 4 years ago.
Well, and here's the thing, like, either everything is on the table or nothing is on the table. And what annoyed people about, or what got Boondock some heat, is that specifically, keep in mind, for the interwebs, this is a black man who's writing this cartoon. You have Huey, who's like the Malcolm X style black intellectual. You have Riley, who is, you know, kind of the young, he's the young, like, gangster, like, where's my rims? You have him. Then you have their grandpa, who's the guy who owns the house and everything, and it's like, God, I got to take my grandkids, so I whoop your ass with the belt. Then you have Ruckus, who's praise the white man, he's the, like, stereotypical Uncle Tom. Then you have the mayor, who's a black dude, and he's the the type they would make fun of, ghetto ass motherfuckers would make fun of for wearing a polo shirt and going to college. Like, they're making fun of every possible fucking stereotype you could find within the within the American black community. Everything was on the table.
I don't know who said it. I think it might have been Voltaire, but whoever it was said, if you want to know who is the oppressor and who are the oppressed, look for the people you're not allowed to make fun of or insult or criticize.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Black women.
Technically, it's true, because the greatest shield you can have in society is being free of criticism.
Yeah.
You don't have to have money or power. Just absolve yourself from any responsibility or criticism.
And that's the biggest thing that we see at this minute in time, where Black Lives Matter movements from all over the world at the minute that are protesting that all the time, when you have other people that want to do any other form of protest, and somehow the other protests are doing everything absolutely wrong. They're absolutely insensitive for coming out in the pandemic and so on and so forth. Their versions of not social distancing is going to cause a pandemic spike. But riots for how many days is it now? 108, 109 days of protests is apparently not going to do anything to the pandemic because it somehow has the right fucking politics.
To be perfectly honest, I think Black Lives Matter, Antifa, Extinction Rebellion should all be classed as terrorist organizations and made illegal. Because that is exactly what they are.
You do realize that we're literally just talking about the fact that you shouldn't ban people, and you're literally just going, yeah, well, we should ban people. I mean, I'm not going to say that's hypocrisy, but, it sounds like it.
It sounds like it, but it isn't, because these people literally are terrorists. I mean, look at what they're doing. They're destroying property. They're destroying businesses. They're destroying fucking cities. Maybe it's not Extinction Rebellion because they fail at everything they do. They're more like Benny Hill does protests.
Well, I think more of the issue you're getting at is not that you're trying to ban people or ban the movement, so to speak. It's when you start going around burning down businesses and rioting and looting and just causing general mayhem and chaos, you've kind of moved past the point of being a protest movement. Like
Yeah.
that's like you've crossed a line there. So
Well, that's true, but Miss Murder brings up a good point, and I'll add to it at the end. The idea that certain people can't handle a joke because of their race or religion or sex, that to me is more insulting than blatantly being racist or sexist to their face. Yeah, and I'll add this idea that that Black Americans are so stupid they can't go out and get an ID and then get a voter ID and vote in person is ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
well, it's
And,
the bigotry. It's the bigotry of low expectations.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I was just going to say it was racist.
Well, yeah,
No.
it is, but it's a bit
Technically, it is. Yeah.
There's a more accurate way of putting it.
I don't think we're all in agreement on this.
It's also applied. It's also applied at women as well. When you look at it, feminism employs a bigotry of low expectations towards women.
Well,
Very
yeah,
much so.
Yeah, it's essentially it's the same. It's I agree with a lot of the people when they say there's no such thing as reverse racism. It's just racism.
Yep.
It's because you're assuming that someone can or cannot do something because of the color of their skin or because what's between their legs. Like, no, that's just discrimination. End of story. Like, there's nothing fancy or complicated about it.
all right, so moving back around to the election.
No, we're not going to let you, man.
No,
One.
no, we're not going to let you.
Do you think that COVID was the October surprise? And by COVID,
Yes.
I mean the president getting COVID. Or
No.
No,
or number two, the second question I have for you.
no. Actually,
I know
the October
that-
surprise was that the guy who's actually pulling Joe Biden's strings is going to die midway through a debate, and Joe Biden.
Come on, Batman, spit it out. Come on, boy. Come on, mate. Spit it out.
I'm going to smack you so hard.
Oh, I love you too, baby.
I'll smack you with your own dick.
Oh, that means you get to touch it.
all right.
Forceps. Very, very small forceps.
For a second, put your tinfoil hat back on.
Damn
What
it.
if the president never had COVID? He wanted to ruin their October surprise, whatever dirt they dug up and had saved, they can't use now.
No, I don't think so.
Why
If
couldn't they use it?
I think.
But
if-
first of all, before we go any further on dealing with that question,
No,
why
I'll
wouldn't they
tell
be
you.
able to use it?
I'll tell you, because in American politics, if somebody gets sick or goes to the hospital, it is unseemly to then run smear ads. Which, if you notice,
Not-
Biden pulled every one of his ads the day President Trump went to Walter Reed.
yeah, but let's be serious here for a minute. How often have you known the Democrats act in what you would call a decent way in recent years? They've pulled every fucking dirty trick they can.
I agree, but Biden pulled his smear campaign ads, which
Yeah,
were
a day later.
one of his ads.
Before you continue, man, he pulled them a day later after you had news stories from across the Atlantic and on your side of it stating that anybody that is or having controversy, anybody that is saying they wish that Donald Trump to die because of COVID or is happy that they've got it is as bad as Donald Trump in their eyes, so to speak, using their language. And it was a case of, well, if we're going to try and win the moderates, which is what Biden needs to do, he can't just win the Bernie supporters or have the people that are going to vote blue no matter what. He's got to win those moderates. Then he's got to show that he's actually, well, not him, the party, is actually a decent party that's trying to pull people together.
There's another
Instead
possibility.
trying to.
There's another possibility as well. Joe Biden, being the intellectual and mental giant that he is, probably accidentally deleted them.
And what CSG was talking about, they didn't pull ads out of some kind of respect or anything. They did it to save face.
Yep.
That's it.
No, I
Oh
agree.
yeah,
That's what I said. Yeah.
that's exactly what you
Yep.
said.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement. No, they did it to save face. That's it.
Yeah, not that I've got much face to save at this point.
Does that mean I did a goodie?
Yes.
No, you're
No.
wrong. No. All right. On another front, and this is a campaign issue, the talks have stalled over the
Stimulus.
pandemic help, yeah, stimulus package, until after the election. Is that Trump, as the Democrats will paint it? Is that the president saying, "Vote for me, or you get no stimulus help"?
I mean, I don't think so. For me, I think Trump's actually doing quite a good point here, because if he's still trying to fight on the side of trying to get his Supreme Court nominee into before the election's done, then he can't fight on two fronts. He can't keep on pushing legislation through. But the good thing is, remember that it's a case of he's decided to stop negotiations, which means that he can pull out the reasons why he tried to stop the negotiations is because the Democrats are not playing ball, and it's them that's stopping it, and that's why he had to force it until after the election. So it's actually really good politics.
Yep. I'd like to say he's wrong here, but unfortunately I can't because he isn't.
Well, I was waiting for Doku's 2 cents. He lives closer to the Beltway than I do.
Well, specifically, what's going on with that is, and first off, Trump does have to stick to his guns on this one because, with the first stimulus bill, that was one thing. Whether they wanted to or not, Pelosi and her constituency had to kind of negotiate just so they didn't look as bad. But now that they got the first deal through, they can scale it up, and that's what they're trying to do. Is they're trying to scale it up. They're trying to get their spending for their groups in, and if they don't pass it, it's close enough to the election. It gives them political ammunition to use against Trump. It was a little too far out the first time around. This time around, yeah, they're trying to inject fat into it. And Trump, I think it was today actually, where he said, "Nope, none of this stuff has to do with COVID. It's not going to pass the Senate, and if it does, I'm not going to pass it." And to be blunt, his constituency doesn't want him to pass it. They don't want to see this ridiculous increase in spending because that'll go through the 2021. They don't want to see that. So it puts both parties at a standstill. So it prevents, on the one end, Pelosi and her constituency from giving them political ammunition to use against Trump in a significant way. And it shows Trump's base that he is going to stick by his guns. At the end of the day, it's kind of a non-issue at this point. It's something they'll try to bring up as a talking point. It's not going to get them very far. And really, the big issue on the table right now is not COVID. It's not the president getting COVID. It's not the stimulus package. The big issue right now is Amy Coney Barrett and her confirmation vote to the Supreme Court. That's what this is all about right now.
Yeah, and hopefully she makes it in. I do have a story that I think Batman and CSG will know a lot more about than I do. The killing of Bolger. He was what, 2 years old, kidnapped by two 10-year-old
Yeah.
boys.
Oh, yes, Venables, yes.
Yes, he was up for parole again. It seems that he was released, and then he was found with kiddie porn and rearrested, and his identity changed again for his own protection.
Oh yeah, if anybody ever found out their those two kids, if ever anybody found out who they are now, they would die. That is still the prevailing feeling about in the country.
Batman's actually being a little bit kind. They wouldn't die straight off.
Straight away.
Yeah, they would be hurt.
Unless they made it to a Muslim community.
Well, even then, they would still be celebrated, but as soon as they left it, they would be hurt. But yes, what's your question, Mad? Before we derail the stream even more than what we normally do.
Oh, well, the real question is, he was released for the murder charges, and now he's in on new charges. I'm glad they are keeping him in prison. But the thing is, can somebody who commits such a heinous act at 10 years old be rehabilitated, in your opinion? Because, as Batman just said, if his true identity comes out, that little Bulger's dad is going to kill him. He already said. He said, I'll go to prison for murder. Fuck it. No fucks given. Along with the entire community, if not the entire fucking island.
The
that you
entire
guys
fucking
live on.
island.
Yeah. Like, okay. So is your stance that he is unrehabilitatable?
Yes. There was a girl, I think it was in the 60s, she was 5 years old. She killed her baby brother because he was getting more attention than her. She actually went to prison for life. Turned out, once she'd done that, there was no going back. And that was psychological reports. She was a danger to the public.
For me, it really does depend. It depends on the psychological condition of the child at the time of doing some sort of murder or some sort of action. If the action comes to a point of to get into graphics, if it comes to some sort of point of a sexual or sadist point from it, or they get a physical gratification from it, they won't change. It becomes it becomes a fetish night on it becomes something that they get off to, put it that way. And with the Venables case, it has that because of the sodomy. It has that because of other aspects of evidence that comes through it. So for me, I don't think that Venables would ever change, but the other guy has done. So for me, that shows you the actual proof in what I'm saying. One did do the acts of sexual gratification or getting in that aspect, and the other one didn't. He is now rehabilitated and being able to get on in world. The other one not so much. So it depends.
Yeah, like individual psychology always does come into it, but the one in question we're on about is the one who did the acts, and I don't think he is redeemable.
I mean, I can't really. It really does depend. What do you mean by redeemable? Do you mean being a part of society again? Then there's always a possibility of that happening. Do you mean a chance of reoffending? Then, in this case, we see that does happen. But there is also chances, depending on the psychological condition of the person, if he was actually treated rather than being thrown in prison. Is there a way of him being able to find coping mechanisms and being able to sort things out? There are possibilities to it. But if he was in a psychological institution, then he would also be held in by the doctor's recommendation and not via a sentence. So the doctor would have to sign him off, not the time elapsing.
Yeah, and Doku, if you haven't heard of this case, it happened years ago. The boys were 10 who did the murder, and they left a 2-year-old boy along the train tracks.
It was, 30 years ago now?
Yeah, I would say it's about 16 to 18 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. But the boys were 10. In America, they cannot be brought up on capital charges at 10 years old.
No, but they could be held in custody until they're old enough to be taken up on capital charges.
For UK law, it depends on the severity of the crime, and it depends on the competency that can be done by a psychological evaluation. Some people that are 13 can't be tried as an adult. In this case, with the 10-year-olds, Venables was tried as an adult because he was deemed competent to be tried as such.
Yep.
Yeah, this one's kind of out of my wheelhouse. What was the specific question?
can a 10-year-old be rehabilitated and released to society, even if they well, it was they killed the boy, left, and never even thought about it again, as far as the story was told to me when I watched the documentary on it.
Yeah, and that was from their own mouths. They didn't trigger any reaction that you would consider a part of their conscience in them.
So going on the basis that they were 10 years old at the time that the murder was committed, yeah, there is the possibility for rehabilitation, but this is something that you would have to really look at on a case-by-case basis, and you'd have to leave it up to a professional. I'd make the argument you'd have to leave them under close supervision and have them go through a rehabilitation process until a professional could reasonably say no,
I remember reading
they're fit to be back in society.
I remember reading when they were in prison that the one who was, there was one while they were in prison saying that he repented and all that and sorry, and the other one, Venables, I think it was saying no, he's not. He's just saying that so that people go easy on him.
Well, and Penoid says no, cannot be rehabilitated. And then he goes on to say we're ignoring him. No, there's a delay, Penoid. You should know that. You use StreamYards. It's like a 10 or 15 second, maybe even 30-second delay between commenting and me seeing it.
I was just a bit unsure about the dates, so I did Google, and James Bulger was murdered in the 12th of February 1993.
Well, again, I want to elaborate on this. Is there a possibility that they could be rehabilitated, and if so, should they be let back in society? Possibility of rehabilitation, yes. Should they be let back into society? I would leave that up to a professional and a really heavy psychiatric evaluation. Do I personally think they should? I can give you my personal opinion, but I'm not the one evaluating them, and I'm not the professional. Personally, I think no, you can let them sit in prison for the next 20, 30 years, and I'm really not going to lose any sleep over it.
Yeah, same here. Even if we had a death penalty, people like that, no, they shouldn't be given a death penalty. They should be forced to live out their entire lives in prison.
You know,
that they will never be freed. That's worse than the death penalty in my eyes.
Well, they thought about kicking him out of the country completely. I think they asked New Zealand if they'd take him, and they said fuck off.
Technically, the country can't actually do that anymore, especially in the 1990s as well. It would have been, if they would have forcibly stripped somebody of their citizenship and kick them out of the country, it's actually against human rights, and the country itself would have been taken to court.
Yep. Penoid is saying, ignore a guy who's been through the system. He can't be tried as an adult. He'd do juve life. 21 they get out. Yeah, that's in America.
Yeah, well, that's what I believe.
John Venables and his mate. They did the entire juvenile, the maximum juvenile sentence they could do, and when that passed, they started their adult sentence.
Well, so
yeah, it was concurrent.
Yeah.
What's really weird about this case as well is reading the updated news story. He was found, not this time. This time they found images on his computer at home. The time before that, he had a copy of a book on child grooming. How exactly do you even publish a book like that without getting on a list or buy it?
Because it's the psychology of it. It can be framed as how it is done from a technical point when you're not actually doing it. It's the way that killers can say, like O.J. Simpson can say, this is how I would have done it if I did it.
Plus, there are nefarious means to publish books underground. You still have underground presses and underground publishing that circumvent legal avenues.
So dark web shit.
Yeah,
yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, and so how does he go to murder at 10 to now perpetually being stuck as mentally as a child? I would imagine if he's attracted to juveniles.
No, because if
no,
he's a
no, no, no.
paedophile, pedophiles aren't stuck at being mentally being a child. They're just
It's for this instance. For this instance, it has nothing to do necessarily with paedophilia. It has everything to do with the fact of when Terry Venables had the fact of exerting this
John
instance
Venables.
of power, whatever. Venables himself, I really don't give a shit about his name. When this cunt decided that he was going to kill that poor 2-year-old, it come to the point of he was doing it because it was a case of sexual gratification. Hence why the sodomy was put into play when he was doing it and did it. That's the reason why he's attracted to the children, not because he's necessarily a paedophile, but it's to do with the power aspect in this instance.
I was correcting you because Terry Venables is a well-respected footballer.
Yeah, you say well respected.
Well, not by me, but by football fans.
Yeah, I'm a football fan. I'm a football fan.
You can't be from the south.
Oh yeah. When was the last time a northern team won anything apart from the Premiership?
What else is the win but the Premiership?
Well, to be fair, you could have said Liverpool when they won the Champions League 2 years ago. But besides the point,
Now I know how everybody feels when I start talking baseball with people. I have no idea.
Yeah, we all know that you don't know what you're talking about because you're a Dodgers fan.
Hey, their playoff game is today. Don't fucking jinx it, Batman. I have a lot of bad shit going on in life. I need this World Series.
The only way they're going to win is if the other team's coach won't start.
Well, I think they're in San Diego, so that's not happening. They don't have to go far. All right, so Miss Murder brings up 14 different times a minor has been tried as adult in the United States. That is true. I do believe a majority of those instances were teenagers and school shootings.
It doesn't matter. The president is still there.
But
they're still classed as minors, and minors, in a lot of ways, are not wholly criminally responsible. Notice I did put the caveat of not wholly in there.
All right. The campaign for President Trump says he plans on participating in the next debate. And that brings us, actually, now that I think about it, we have a vice presidential debate coming up. Is it today or is it tomorrow?
And response to Pinoid there, who says that I think he's on about Venables was probably medicated. No, we don't do that to our prisoners in the UK. That's an American thing.
Was it just the other one who had the psych treatment, or was it Venables too?
I think they would have probably initially both had psychiatric treatment, but our medical profession doesn't rely on drugs nearly as much as the American medical profession does.
Well, that's fair.
No, we like our therapies.
Yeah.
You guys just like to talk and call each other cunts. It works.
Hey, it's part of the healing process, brother. It's part of the healing process.
Doku, how do you think the vice president is going to do in the debate? Word is he is very good at these, and Harris doesn't have a chance. What do you think?
I think Pence will win, but I do think Harris is going to put up a better show than most people are giving her credit for. Hey, let's be blunt. Her and Biden have both been coached for these things. We've seen how Pence and Trump operate while they've been in office. They're gonna, and it's gonna be skewed in their favor. We already know who the debate moderator is going to be. It's going to be skewed in their favor. But Pence is very good at debating, and Kamala not so much.
And let's be fair here, Kamala Harris has got a distinct advantage over her running mate. Her memory works.
Well, that's fair, but Kamala has another problem that she's going to have running into the debate, and that's the only real trick that she's going to have is she's going to have to play the identitarian politics shield, and that's not going to work on Pence.
No, I didn't think it would. Pence is an old statesman, isn't he? And he's an
He
old
is.
statement there. So
No,
Well, he definitely is a statement.
he's going to know all the tricks. He's going to know all the all the techniques and strategies for these kind of debates. So he's going to tear her apart.
well, the thing that Pence is going to have over Kamala that Trump didn't have over Biden in the presidential debate is first off, Pence has a longer track record. He's already been in office with Trump. And by comparison, Pence's track record, when you're looking at him versus Kamala, he doesn't have to do what Trump does, where this kind of attacks her and berates her and just be bombastic like Trump does, because that's
Yep.
let's be honest, that's the appeal that Trump has.
I'm going to pull in Jack into this one because she just said in the chat, I can never remember which. Harris is very unlikable, and that will be very hard for to overcome and come across as being likable. That's exactly why Nixon lost to Kennedy in the early 60s.
Well, and see, that's the thing that Pence is going to have over Harris. This is actually kind of the point I was getting at. Pence not only has a track record to point at, not only his own, but also to Harris. But Pence, unlike Trump, has a very calm, cool, and collected way of going about things while still being able to make a point.
Yeah.
Versus Harris, Kamala Harris comes off as being very, what's the word without sounding like a dick? She comes off as being very pretentious, and it just rubs people the wrong way. Versus Pence will just sit there and just kind of smile and like, oh, okay, yeah. By the way, you did this and this, and we've done this. I think this is better for the American people, but you say this is your policy, and he'll ramble on for 2 minutes like that without directly attacking his opponent, and it's going to put someone like Harris in a really bad situation because she's not going to be able to say like, you're being mean to me because I'm a woman, or you're a womanizer, or you're sexist, or that's not going to work on Pence.
I mean, are we forgetting here that Kamala Harris was polling at 1% with people that are supposed to support her? Are we forgetting that she also lost the debate in literally 4 seconds with Tulsi Gabbard? As soon as she brought up her history of how she was as a Californian governor and how she went on to her criminal reform bills and so on and so forth, she lost and was never able to get back into that debate.
Oh, that's actually the funny part, is because Tulsi Gabbard during that particular presidential debate was acting a lot more like Trump than Pence will.
Well, no, and that's what I was going to say is I kind of hope a little bit of Trump rubs off on Pence, because I want Pence to go, like have a one-liner and then follow it up with, yeah, and while you were smoking weed and listening to Tupac, how many Black Americans did you arrest? And then just drop the mic.
As great as that would be to see, Pence isn't going to do that, but he will bring up her policies.
Yeah.
But he'll do it in a very politician way.
And you don't. Let's face it. You don't want your two nominees, your vice president nominees, to be alike, because the American system works best when those two positions are occupied by different persons.
Very much so. Like
different temperaments, you mean?
No, just different personalities.
Yeah, Pence
not just temperament, the whole lot.
Yeah, Pence should be a balance against Trump, which he very much is. Whereas Biden and Harris, you could make the argument they're balances against each other, but not for the better.
There's no balance there. Biden's an empty house, and Harris is just a tenant there.
Well, no, I will say they're a balance, but the reason I say they're a balance and not for the better is Pence is kind of a statesman, cool, calm, collected mentality. helps balance out Trump's very bombastic businessman, sort of in-your-face media personality. Like, they balance each other out for the better. Versus you have Biden over here who's doing whatever the fuck Biden's doing. And then you have Kamala, who is very much aware and very egotistical, but they don't balance out each other's weaknesses more as they complement, or they don't balance out each other's weaknesses more as they complement each other's weaknesses, and they completely negate each other's strengths.
Do you know I mean, people have made the likeness of Biden to Grandpa Simpson. Well, it goes further than that because Harris is Lisa Simpson.
No. I'm not letting you get away with that. She's not Lisa Simpson.
Yeah, she's a know-it-all. She's unlikable.
But she's not a know-it-all. But that's the thing.
But she's not Harris smart. Isn't. Yeah, Kamala Harris isn't smart.
I don't think Lisa Simpson is really.
She's supposed to be portrayed as smart, but no.
She's a big fish in a small pond. You leave Lisa alone.
I hate her. I will kill her.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan of Lisa Simpson, to be honest. She's no.
Well, let's go from one crazy woman to another.
Dear.
A group of them. Chris Watts is corresponding with women from his prison cell. Watts, the man who murdered his pregnant wife and 2 daughters, has found a way to pass his time as he spends his days in prison.
What is it with women? What is it with women and dangerous men in American prisons?
That's what I was going to ask after I read a little bit of this article, actually, but you beat me to it, so let's jump right to that. Yeah, I mean, every serial killer has like a dozen women fucking writing him and sending them money and shit. And then you actually have incels. Like, these guys can't get laid, but Charles Manson fucking letters.
You're quite literally correct there. They're incels because they can't get out of their cells.
I mean, I'm not even going to dignify that with even a cursory laugh. That was bad.
I don't care. Doku laughed. That's enough for me. So you.
I don't know if that qualifies as a laugh, more as just a
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It works for me. I don't care. I'm taking it.
Yeah, well, that's what your missus says, but it doesn't always benefit her.
Oh.
Ouch.
It benefits me. I don't care.
Okay.
I suppose the main thing with the story is that most of these women, not most women, most of these women, I want to put that as a clarification before we even get any further. Most of these types of women that go and talk to these types of people do it because they want the infamy that's attached to speaking to these serial killers or these perceived important people.
Yeah.
The infamy, the fear, the scares, the fact of, oh, well, he murdered his wife, but he's all right to talk to me over the phone. I must be special. It's all of those contributing factors that when they actually meet these people, they don't necessarily go away and do anything or stay with them. It's the fear factor that sticks with them first.
I think that's a lot of it. I also think there's some of them that the type of women think, yeah, well, he's just a man. I can change him. Because there are women like that. I mean, let's face it.
This guy may have the best first name ever because Christopher is obviously the best name.
No,
yeah, right.
It's a sissy's name. It's the name of the kid who gets beaten up by the still retard.
Is that the same as Bruce, Batman? Is that the same as Bruce?
Worse. Marginally worse.
All right, but you know what this guy did? He murdered his pregnant wife and killed his 2 daughters. 4, and I believe it said 8 for the second daughter. So he killed 4 people because, yeah, I count the baby in the womb. And these women think, yeah, I'll talk to him. And you can say, you know, it's the danger and they're locked away forever. They're never going to get out. Some of these women have been convinced to break these guys out of prison.
Personally, I think the guy you just described, his sentence should be sewn into a Ku Klux Klan outfit and parachuted into the middle of Harlem on a busy afternoon.
I mean, nobody's objecting necessarily to that idea, but going back to the topic.
No, people like that that guy deserve an absolutely horrible death. They do not deserve to even be able to speak to the outside world, let alone
again, nobody's disagreeing with you. No, nobody's necessarily disagreeing with you. I mean, nobody's overtly agreeing with you because YouTube, but nobody's disagreeing with you either. But back to the subject, the reason why a lot of these women do these things is because it's the element of fear. It's the fact of being my Bonnie to my Clyde. It's I found my Clyde, now I need my Bonnie. Well, you know what I mean. I need to be able to sort this out. I need to find my. Sorry.
And like you said, because it makes them feel special and really important.
Yeah, even if it's just to that person that they found their version of a soulmate. Now, they haven't. It's just the illusion of it. And it's the case of people pick up the signs and think that it's something that's really there. And it's not. It's just a case of he's lonely, they're lonely, they've got in contact with each other, and now it's the imagination that's running wild. But do you know what I find from doing different studies and things like that? That a lot of these types of people, including men that do it to women serial killers as well, do it so that they can actually say to their friends, look who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
Well,
it'd be a lot harder to do a female serial killer because I think you hardly get any, do you?
To be fair, and if somebody does this now, I totally want some of your ad revenue because I'm not going to do this. But if somebody does, and I gave you the idea, hook a brother up. But some YouTuber ought to start writing like Casey Anthony or something and fucking read the fucking letters out loud on their YouTube channel. That would get clicks.
You mean pretend to be a woman?
No. Read their interaction, their conversation as they send letters back and forth. Kind of like a video log or whatever. My conversation with a murderer. There you go.
Well, you know that you can do that, don't you? You know that even in the UK, which is even more accessible to the US, you can apply to be able to be on the visitors list for serial killers, where you can actually apply to be on the register to have a conversation with them if they so choose, and you can record it and so on and so forth.
No shit. Interesting. Huh.
Yeah, well, how do you think that the press do it? It's still open to everybody else in the public as well.
I mean, yes, it's monitored, but it's quite open.
Doku, you want to be our resident prison expert? Go and interview these guys?
You know what? I actually would do that. Not even joking about that one. I wouldn't mind picking the brain of some of these individuals just to see what makes them tick. And I wouldn't even start with, everybody's going to be like, well, why'd you do it? What drove you to do it? Like, no, start out simple. What's your favorite breakfast food? What's your favorite color? Ease into it. See, like, get a real feel for their personality.
Yeah, I mean, there used to be, every so often there would be documentaries about people on death row in America or in prison for life for murder in this country, and apparently most of them aren't what you would actually call murderers up until that moment. It's everything about it, the entire motive, the reason they did it, it's all been in the moment. Something snaps. Bang, somebody's dead.
Oh, and again, that's why you wouldn't want to start out with like what caused you to do this. You'd want to start out again with like, what do you eat for breakfast? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite actor or actress? What's your favorite car? Start out with just random innocuous things like that. Get them to open up to you. And
what brand of hatchet do you prefer? Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, I know, right?
No, seriously. Most of these people, it's been a series of I know it's getting away from what you're on about, but it's still, it's been a series of small things that have piled up and piled up and piled up over, sometimes literally over years, and then one day, bang.
Well, you know what the big question is, that the reason you have to ease into some of this stuff is because the big question that would lead into that is like, did you ever have any pets? Or did you grow up in a single family household? You know, things like that
Yeah.
that really start giving you a good profile of like how these people actually are and why they think the way they do.
And some people,
Yeah.
as been pointed out in the chat, very few people, but some people are just born bad. No-
Yeah, there's
No
this
two ways about it.
there's this UK show that I've been watching on YouTube. Born to
I feel sorry.
Kill question mark.
Yeah, you've been watching a UK show. I feel sorry for you.
Okay,
But also,
Miss Murder
going-
volunteers to do the serial killer interviews.
Oh, there
Yeah,
you go.
she loves that type of thing. She would volunteer for you. She could find a way of being able to make it
Yeah.
work. She would do it for you.
Oh, if Ms. Murder, come on, if she was talking to a serial killer, she'd be giving them advice.
I'm not going to say anything. I feel
Well,
that I will lose my friendship.
I just think it's really
Why?
weird.
I said it, and I'll not lose my friendship with her.
Oh no, I wouldn't be saying. Anyway,
Oh, do you mean special friendship?
yes.
No, fair enough.
I just think it's weird these people are drawn to the worst society has to offer.
Well, just from what we've just talked about. We've just talked about it. Now, don't get me wrong, none of us are going on to a fantasy of trying to sleep with them or anything, but we are infantilized by them. I want to know what makes them tick. And that just transfers to opposite sex.
I need to laugh at Pinoid in the chat because he's asked, "Have you ever met a murderee?" No,
He
but
did correct it. He did correct it.
I don't care. I'm only taking his first answer.
You mean his first question, darling?
I don't care. I know what I meant. Don't you call me darling, lovey.
All right, sweet pea.
Watch it, luscious legs.
Ooh, that's
It's
nice.
going to get worse from here.
What, are we going to go down? Or are we going up? Or are we going in and out?
Against the wall.
Hey, stop. Take that shit to OnlyFans.
Actually, we're taking this to the ISS, so we're going to need harnesses.
What, we're going to the International Space Station?
Yes.
Yay, international waters, anything goes.
Oh God.
I don't want to know.
Actually,
real quick.
Hold on. This is just a side note on all the silliness there, but they actually do have a special harness for two of the astronauts in the ISS want to do it.
Yep, that they do. I did know that actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that you two would actually know that.
Okay.
It's because I watch a lot of the live streams from the ISS, actually.
Yeah, of course you do, and that includes the one when they're banging with each other.
What time is that one on?
Yeah.
To be fair, I've seen the astronauts. They don't look that pretty.
I mean, here's the other thing to touch on why people write or want to meet with these people. Aside from the wanting to figure out what makes them tick and try to get inside their heads, and there are people out there who do, and they hear about the action that these people have taken, and they see something within them that they might have had those desires or those thoughts, but they would never go forward with it. So in a weird way, they're almost living through them vicariously.
Yeah, there's another reason as well. Good or bad, or even if it's just in a minor way, these people are now part of history. And to some people, they don't realize this on a certain level, and for them, this is touching history. May not be a nice part of history, but they're still touching history.
Yeah, the infamy will always live forever, and if you can be attached to that infamy, then you will live forever. You'll have a form of immortality.
Yep.
Oh, there is that, but you'll find this more specifically with females contacting male serial killers or murderers than you will the other way around. But there is
there
that.
Isn't that many.
That's one aspect.
So.
But But you will find women attracted to male serial killers for that reason, because there's obviously the male and female brain is different, and there is
How
a
dare you say that?
oh no, I'm speaking science. No, we have to trust the science. It's fine. I'm doing what Biden tells me to do. I'm trusting the
La, la,
science.
la, I can't hear you.
But yeah, there are a lot of females out there who would be capable of doing just as abhorrent, if not even more abhorrent things, but they would never actually go forward with it. So when they have the opportunity to actually contact someone who would, even if it was just a spur of the moment thing, it does tap into that kind of emotional rage, and it's more common in women than it is in men, as far as like premeditated murder would go.
Yeah,
So,
I think on about men and women being different. I thought you were going to go down a different track, because it's been proven that on average, a woman before she's pregnant finds the bad boy sexually attractive. Yeah, and because tries to be more emotionally, romantically involved with the bad boy to father children.
well,
But a woman who's pregnant and who has children finds the safe guy attractive because he provides security and safety.
well, and to put it in a better light, when you look at how actually no, this is the best example I can come up with. If you look at how boys and girls bully each other, if you're a boy, you're gonna get the crap beat out of you on a playground, and it's very physical. Versus when girls bully each other, it's very much psychological. It's rare that you're going to see, the two girls beating up on the one nerdy girl on the playground. That doesn't happen, and you could argue that
It kind of does. I saw that a lot growing up. Not nearly as much as boys, admittedly, but it does.
I'm talking by comparative averages.
Yeah.
So and you could actually make the argument that the way girls bully is actually a lot more spiteful and mean-spirited. A boy would sit there and say like, "Oh, I'm gonna fucking kill you," versus a girl is going to sit there and just bully you for the next couple of months and tell you to go kill yourself.
There's another difference as well. Girls bully boys far more than boys bully girls.
Yeah, but girls bullying other girls, sometimes it's not even overt. They'll be nice to each other's. Like, I've seen this with my ex-wife. Like, she'd sit there and talk to this chick that they've been, quote unquote, been friends for years and years. And as soon as she leaves, that bitch is a fucking whore.
Hold on, I've got to address Miss Murder in chat here. She said, just to point out that you're a bunch of men talking about how women think. Sexist.
Well, I identify as a woman.
Hold on, CSG. Hold on a minute, Miss Murder. Who here has said that women think?
I never claimed such a thing. I'm glad my wife doesn't watch my show.
Hey, there's another difference between men and women. When your average bloke is offering an opinion, he starts it with "I think." A woman starts off an opinion with "I feel."
I'm not touching that one.
No, but it's. I'm not saying it's wrong or it's bad or it's inferior anyway. It's different. I'm pointing out a difference.
Here is something you guys will like. Brian sent this to me. Netflix indicted by Texas grand jury over the Cuties film. Now, it's a video on YouTube, so I don't know what article they're sourcing. But if it's true, good.
There is a lot of hate about that film, and I am not surprised.
How did that get past the censors? I mean, they had to tone down Friday the 13th, for God's sake.
Look at the way the left try to change society. They're trying to make paedophilia normalised. They don't call them paedophiles anymore. They're either paedosexuals or some stupid shit.
Oh, no, the term they're going with now is they're minor attracted persons, because calling them pedophiles is insensitive.
Or like I call them, minor attracted perverts.
Either way, the whole thing is.
I call them target practice.
Yeah, drowning applicants.
Did you want the story?
If you could screen share it, and just read a little bit of it. I know
I'm
you're
on-
rusty.
I'm on my phone, so I'll send it via private chat. Anyone that has a PC can go onto the private chat of our thing and click it from there.
Oh yeah, it's indicted for lewd content. Variety is reporting.
Well, like I said, it's basically pedo soft porn. There's no
Doku,
pedo
can you
about
get
it.
that open? Why he works on that. I never watched it, because I don't watch that type of crap. And yeah, I don't know. Did I cancel my Netflix subscription? No, my kids have the Netflix child account. They watch Boss Baby and stuff on there. I fucking kept Netflix. Now, if they're indicted for that, they won't be picking up any shows or movies like that again, and it will clean up the site. I say win-win, right?
Uh-huh.
And hopefully Doe can get the story open. He's got it, yeah. Go ahead and read a little bit of it for us, because I'm not going to be able to on the laptop.
Yeah, just give me a second here, because my computer wants to freeze for a moment. All right. God, that still creeps me out. Cuties. This is by Gene Mattis. A Texas grand jury has indicted Netflix on a charge of disseminating lewd material by distributing the French film Cuties. The grand jury in Tyler County, Texas, returned the indictment on September 23rd under a state law that forbids, quote, the lewd exhibition of genitals or public area of an unclothed, partially clothed, or clothed child. To be illegal, such material must appeal to the pursuant interest in sex and have no serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. Netflix defended this film in a statement. Cuties is a social commentary against the sexualization of young children. This charge is without merit, and we stand by the film. The Tyler County District Attorney is Lucas Babin, a one-time model and actor who appeared as Spider, the shirtless musician in the 2003 film School of Rock. He also played Rocky on The Young and the Restless, according to IMDb profile. His office declined to comment on the indictment when reached by Variety on Tuesday and declined to make him available for an interview. Cuties tells the story of an 11-year-old Sanglinese girl who joins a dance troupe. The movie is distributed a Fun-Dance film. Generated controversy when it was released early last month on Netflix. Picture includes dance routines, choreography. The distributors defended the film, blah, blah, blah. It's scandalous to accuse us of promoting child pornography. BAC Films CEO David Gumbrack told Variety last month, I think the protests are coming from the right wing, from a fringe area of ultra-conservatism. Babin's father is Brian.
Hang on. What even is ultra-conservatism?
Made up word.
Anything that they disagree with, apparently.
Yep. It's the same as far right.
Yeah. Babin's
But
father
that actually
Brian,
has a meaning.
Yeah, I guess. Babin's father is Brian Babin, a Republican congressman. In March, Babin's office charged a resident for making a false alarm for claiming Facebook to have tested for positive for COVID-19. Oh, that's kind of funny. Here we go. Let's see. And named by the authorities of the state of Texas, the grand jury, Tyler County jury, selected, independent, and sworn, charged, and organized, such as January term, district court, blah, blah, blah. Knowingly promote visual material which depicts lewd exhibition of the genitals or public area of a clothed or partially clothed child who was younger than 18 years of age at the time the visual material was created, which appeals to the pertinent interest in sex and has no serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. To wit,
They would
by
lose on that one then.
Well,
by
no.
real quick,
Well,
let me finish the rest of this real quick. By issuing or selling or providing or delivering or distributing or disseminating or transmitting or publishing or exhibiting or presenting or advertising the film titled Cuties, also known as French word I'm not going to attempt to pronounce, or offering or agreeing to issue, sell, provide, deliver, distribute, disseminate, transmit, publish, exhibit, present, or advertise said film, and the promotion of said film was authorized or recklessly tolerated by a high managerial agent of Netflix Incorporated, namely Wilmot Reed Hastings Jr. or Theodore Anthony Saradonis Jr., acting on behalf of Netflix and within the scope of the agent's office or employment at Netflix Incorporated. There you go.
okay, yeah. What I want to bring up is, you guys remember, late night, you would be up, half drunk, just skimming through the fucking channels, and you would always see these fucking infomercial like ad things for Girls Gone Wild. Remember that? Yeah.
Oh,
You
you
know
mean
what
on
happened to that?
Bravo?
Yeah. You know what happened to that guy? That guy didn't get a form from every girl at the spring break because how the fuck could he? Some of them happened to be 17 and 16. Yeah, he got arrested. He got sued. He lost a lot of his money, and I believe he did some jail time. So whoever filmed this, they're probably not going to be able to get a hold of. So it's all going to be monetary. But I believe there is a precedence here for Netflix to be taken down.
Yep.
The only problem in this case is going to be, which is what it said at the end, where they have to prove, and they have to prove this for it to be a fixed indictment, for it to be prosecuted properly to the letter of the law, where it has to be a case of they have to prove that it was distributed in line for them to be distributing it as a form of sexual contact and sexual production. Where in this case, it is categorically stated all the way through. Now, our interpretation is completely different, but you have to prove it was done via sexual means. And it could easily be argued that it's not. Now,
Yeah,
we can
cool.
argue our interpretation is not to do with sexual misgivings, but they have to prove it is. And it categorically states and is packaged as not being child porn. In actual fact, the message that is supposed to come with this, now again, I disagree with how this is going to be framed by the creator, because I've watched it, is a case of she was trying to say that she is against child porn, and that's the reason why she did something of this video and this film, because she wanted to draw light to the way that children are being treated and being left on their own to be forced to grow up quicker than what they're supposed to be. Now, you could argue what the messaging is, and I agree with you that it's shit messaging and it's shit choreography and it makes it look like it's child porn. But in this type of case, you have to prove that the intent was to distribute it as sexual conduct. There is
Well,
none.
well, the
I've got to
issue.
agree with you there. I mean,
Well, hold on,
hold
on, Batman.
Go on then.
The issue we're going to run into here is the first sentence of the indictment, which is to knowingly promote visual material which depicts the lewd exhibition of the genitals or pubic area of a clothed or partially clothed child younger than 18 at the time the material is created, which appeals to the pertinent interest in sex and has no serious, and this is where the problem is going to run or is going to come up.
Yep.
Has no serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. So they could get off because they could say, oh, well, it's supposed to be saying that this is bad. It has artistic value, despite the fact that, you know, they're shaking their ass and rubbing their crotches in booty shorts. But they could technically get away with it based on that one
I don't
point.
know.
Yeah,
I don't know if they can't.
like I
I
was
don't
trying-
know if they.
Can
I don't
jump
know.
in, George?
No, come on. Just a second. It's real short.
Okay, go on.
I don't know if they can because the president has been set. I mean, the guy from Girls Gone Wild could have been like, look. And I believe he even did make this argument. Don't quote me 100%. I don't quite remember, and I can't show a source. But look, it's a documentary on spring break in Florida, right? There's documentary reasons to film this.
Well, and here's
Sure, but
Dodge.
it wasn't packaged. But it wasn't packaged that way.
Dodge.
Where
Dodge.
this
Here's
is being
here's what they're
packaged.
gonna do.
What I was trying to say was, I mean, I haven't seen the entire film, but I've seen videos about it because the story that generated interest in me. So I watched videos, and the clips that they showed. I mean, yeah, I do think it's softcore fucking pedo porn, but the clips that were shown, it's so ambiguous. It could be either or.
Well, here's what they're gonna do, because
And
they've
that's-
already got them on a knowingly distributing the material. Like, they've got them there dead to rights. What they're going to do is they're going to say that the film has artistic and political value because they've already made this argument before about how it's supposed to be against child exploitation and showing a highlight as to why it's bad and that it's not supposed to be child porn or anything like that. That's the argument they're going to make in court.
You can, yeah, but if I was in court arguing against him, I would argue that, and I think would be right, that you could do all of that without actually showing any child porn or lewd suggestive children.
I would make a different argument. And the argument is pretty simple and clear. Look, how exactly are you highlighting and damning this practice by having the children do this? You're, a matter of fact, you're taking these children and introducing them to this world through your film. I believe you've done more harm to at least these individual children than you have by shining light on it. Where if you went and did a documentary on the child sex trafficking trade, you would have far more political reach and far more clout than
And
this
support.
weird French film.
Yeah, but see, Dodge, you're actually making the wrong argument on that one, because they could still turn around and make the argument that whether they went about it the right way or the wrong way, they could still make the argument that it does have artistic value and political value because they're trying to highlight through shock.
Yeah.
And so they.
I mean,
so
if I may very quickly, the counter argument to what Mad Dodge has just said would be a case of, yes, we agree that your criticism is correct. We should have, in hindsight, done exactly what you have said that we should have done. But the priority of the film was to bring shock and awe to an issue of what is going on. This was never intended to be child porn and was never introduced or distributed in that set or imagination. And you've already lost your argument and footing.
Okay, well, no, in this
hold on.
hypothetical courtroom, I would like to defend myself. Okay, so shock and awe. How exactly did you achieve shock and awe by exposing these children to child sexual exploitation? Matter of fact, I believe this is borderline grooming.
because we and
Borderline.
the argument they would. The argument they would.
That's really, 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 really easy. Do you? The counter would be: we in America have things called child pageants. What we were filming was children that were going into cheerleading practices, and we were filming them making up their own decisions on how that they were going to dance, how they were going to react, and they were competing in cheerleading and dancing competitions. If you find that of a sexual nature, that is on you. We were showing you how the situation is at the moment and how things can be treated into the point of child porn. You have proven our fact that that is the shock and awe value that we were going for.
You're not wrong. At the end of the day, even if it did go to court, it doesn't matter because it's going to be decided via the public's wallet.
There is one scene that you can get them on that they, in my opinion, arguably cannot defend, and that's the scene where the girl takes the guy's cell phone and starts taking pictures of her genitals, because from what I've heard, she wasn't wearing underwear. That was it. An under 18 girl taking, or
Worse than that, they're 11, aren't they?
yeah, 11-year-old girl and pretend, or even if she's pretending to do so, taking pictures of her genitals to use as blackmail. That completely falls out of the line of trying to show like while child sexual exploitation is bad. That
Well, no, it does, and because I haven't seen the movie, I didn't bring up that scene. Instead, I just went to IMDb, and I found a choreographer. And the fact that I can find the choreographer means that the filming of this movie was choreographed. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen of the court, this was not just filmed of people practicing cheerleading, or they would have a cheerleading coach, not a professional choreographer. This was specifically filmed and produced and made to be explicit.
Well, and again, the reason I bring up that scene is because for that scene to have been filmed, that means that there was a nudity of a child that took place on the set at the time of filming, which goes beyond the purview and goes beyond the compass of trying to say, oh,
Yep.
this film is being produced to bring attention to child sexual exploitation. Like, no, at that point in time, now you are sexually exploiting a child. That's where they can get them.
And we're gonna talk in circles here, so let's widen the scope out, because why this film is being hailed by critics and held up as good, the work that Lauren Southern was doing about the refugee crisis damn near landed her in jail and got her funding revoked. That was an actual documentary.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on here?
Lawrence Southern was pointing out something that they don't want pointing out.
Isn't this movie supposed to be pointing out something that a lot of people would say, Epstein Island, that the rich and powerful don't want pointed out?
The thing is with Lauren Southern's thing, wasn't the case of it being brought to justice, or the main reason why people in Self were actually going against it, though you could argue that political people were going against it because of refugee status and whatnot. The main reason legally why she got in hot water was she was accusing of somebody that was never convicted of being a gang lord leader and a trafficker.
I didn't know that.
So, I mean, I'm not trying to be a downer.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to be a downer. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I've got to admit that is going a step too far.
I don't
she
think
should
that's
know
fine,
better.
Remember what I'm saying here. He was never convicted.
Or tried.
The evidence, yes. The evidence would point to him, but he was never convicted of due to unforeseen circumstances.
Like you said, he wasn't even tried. So, yeah, Lauren Southern is a professional journalist. She should have known better.
Okay, maybe it's because I'm looking through my own lenses. When we see somebody who's an obvious drug dealer driving a car that they obviously got with drug money, but they haven't been convicted yet, we usually point out that they're a fucking drug dealer.
Hold on. How did they they obviously get a car through with drug money? Does it have on the license plate drug money 1?
No.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. But
I mean, come on, that is actually a stupid and very biased statement. And I'm not saying that like a lefty. Yeah, it is.
Okay,
I understand. How Matt, calm down. I understand exactly where Matt is coming from. You can have that understanding that you see what's going on in the world, you have that interpretation, and you put 2 and 2 together, and you 9 times out of 10 are probably going to get 4, and that's the right answer. But when it comes to a legal argument, you cannot do the assuming, and I can't remember what the correct terminology is. You can't mischaracterize somebody or defame them without evidence, because you can be sued for it. And you can have libel thrown back at you and be sued for it. And as a journalist, you're fucked after that.
Well, yeah, and what I was saying is like Al Capone was never convicted of being a gangster. He was convicted of tax evasion. All he was a tax dodger. But everybody fucking knew he ran a gang. He ran a criminal organization.
But that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. Until after his death, nobody would say he was a gang leader in the press.
How long was it before it actually got proven that he was a gang leader? Because I think it was a while after his death, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
Because, I mean, all the documentaries I've seen about it always says, yeah, Al Capone's involvement in the St. Valentine's Day massacre and a host of other atrocities that happened in the time were the worst kept secrets in Illinois, not just in Chicago, but Illinois. People knew, but nobody had the evidence, so they couldn't take the court over it.
Well, yeah, because Capone's organization gave generous donations to law enforcement.
Wasn't just that.
Sure.
They didn't have the evidence.
Yeah, and you didn't have the people that would go up to and actually prosecute him either, and you didn't have the people that would bear witness against him as well. But the point of this being is that until you, via the media, have that conviction, anything that you say beforehand is defamation because it's not been proven. Then once it's proven, you can say what you like as long as it's true or as close to the truth as possible. But until that time, it's defaming of character.
Yeah, unless, of course, the person you're defaming is...
can't defend themselves.
Or is an enemy of the mainstream media.
Well, yeah. I mean, bearing false witness is still some form of witness, right?
Yep.
Well, and Excel and Pinoid are going back and forth about the First Amendment. The First Amendment does not protect CP.
Well, you know what Pinoid thinks the First Amendment is, don't you? Ape shall not kill ape.
Yeah, but, well, no, the thing is, though, it doesn't...
Right, I'll shut up now.
I don't believe in hate speech. I don't. Speech is speech. But sexually explicit images of a minor is not freedom of speech. I mean, okay, because your freedom of speech should not infringe on someone else's freedoms. Therefore, you exploiting a minor infringes upon their freedom. Therefore, it is not covered in the First Amendment, would be my argument.
Yeah. Yeah, the basic idea of you're right to throw a fist ends where my fist begins.
It depends. With the point of distribution, it doesn't matter if it's made in France. If an American company distributes it into America, it then comes under the code of First Amendment because it's an American company that's distributing it. I mean, there's so many different legal loopholes that you can use to be able to put it into these situations. It's ridiculous.
It's basically what's good in France isn't necessarily good in the States.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the French are.
Or rather, what's good in France should probably be burned at the stake anywhere else in the world.
Oh yeah, let's just not ask about the actual age of consent laws in France.
They've got them now?
I think it's still 11, but last time I heard it was 12. But I'm not 13, so I'm not 100% sure anymore. But I know it's still younger than 13.
So, all right, we're approaching the end of the show here, but we got a good-sized crowd, 11, which is more than I've had in a little while. Probably because I haven't been online that much lately, all things considered. Is there any stories out of the UK that you guys are wanting to talk about?
Yeah, I was wrong. It's not 13, it's 15.
I'd like to answer that question, but the little grey-suited man from the ministry just shook his head at us, so no.
Well, Regal Cinemas is filing for bankruptcy now, it looks like. Pinoid said that in the chat. All I had heard was they're shutting down for the rest of the year because the Bond movie was delayed a year.
Oh, you mean the bombed movie?
Whatever.
That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. It's going to bomb. James Bomb.
Yeah, I haven't watched James Bond in forever, honestly. I like the old video game for the N64.
GoldenEye?
Yeah, that game rocked.
I had it on the PS2.
The gold gun. Fucking one-shot kill. But, I never was into James Bond. I always figured, even when I was younger, I was like, okay, so this British bastard gets drunk all day and just fucks a bunch of chicks.
Yeah.
How does he not have the clap?
Because we're British, we still have condoms.
The thing is, what most people don't realize, James Bond isn't a spy. He's an assassin. If he was a spy, he wouldn't be flamboyant. He wouldn't be easily recognizable and obvious in a crowd, even in a crowded room. As a spy, he would suck. He's an assassin.
All right, who's the best James Bond? We got two British people here, so I gotta ask.
Sean Connery.
Timothy Dalton.
He's second best.
Doku, you gotta vote.
I'm going with Sean Connery.
The worst one is Daniel Craig.
Oh,
Yeah, I can't disagree with you on that one.
More like Jessica Bond, if you ask me.
Yeah, that's unanimous.
Yeah, I abstain because honestly, I never really was that into James Bond. But the one,
especially when they had that fucking feminist infomercial where they had M talking about how bad life is for a woman, had Daniel Craig standing there. Then he had to go off stage and come back out dressed as a woman.
Wait a minute. Wait. Didn't Sean Connery, say it was a good thing to hit a woman every now and then? It keeps them in their place.
I think that quote was actually taken out of context.
How do you take that quote out of context?
I don't know, but I think it was. I remember reading the full article about it, and I think it was basically the same as he'd do to a man in a similar situation, something like that.
Oh, okay. So, the basic argument. If a woman puts herself in a man's place, then she deserves to be treated like a man.
Ain't Jack George Lazenby doesn't even rank.
Who is that? I never even heard of that actor.
He was an Australian model who got picked for the part, and he was only in one film on Her Majesty's Secret Service. And literally everybody from the production crew to the entire cast, especially Diana Rigg, who was the leading lady, hated his guts.
So, how long until they make Jane Bond instead of James? Come on, it'll happen.
Hopefully it won't. Hopefully the pendulums it actually is starting to swing back.
Doku, a female Bond character.
Well, why does it have to be Bond? Why can't it just be a female character in the same universe?
Well, why can't it be the fact of Jane Bond being one of his daughters or an adopted daughter? I mean, that's the point that I was going for. As long as it's a different form of the same franchise, then why would it matter so much? As long as there is still a James Bond and she's not taking over from him.
Well, why be a Bond at all? I mean,
because it's part of the franchise.
Well, it just has to be in the same universe. I mean, you could have James Bond do a cameo in the first of this female character's films, and then just let her continue and succeed or fail by her own merits. Because otherwise, with it being a Bond, it's kind of standing on James Bond's shoulders to get the success.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point of the namesake, isn't it? I mean, as long as it's done as a separate entity from James to Jane, then what's the problem? As long as it's not changed, as in James is now a Jane, then why does it matter?
I can see your point. I'd still prefer it to be an entirely different character.
I understand.
Then it would be a different franchise, right?
No, wouldn't it be the same franchise because it's set in the same universe?
Well, again, there's a lot of ways you could do a female 00 without gender swapping James Bond. Like,
right. Do you know what I hate most about the fan ideas around James Bond. But James Bond, 007, yeah, they're just code names. It's a different fucking spy. It doesn't work that way. It's merely to do with bookkeeping, but once the spy, once an intelligence operative or any military operative, like from a soldier onwards, retires, all code names and serial numbers pertaining to that person are also retired.
Oh,
Yeah.
so this is actually something good because we were talking about this earlier. Dodge, you got time, right?
Yeah, actually, I need to use the restroom though, so I'll step away if you guys want to keep going. I didn't know if Doku's the one that said he had some work to do.
George,
I'm good.
Hold on, George Lazenby, right? Married Diana Rigg's character, who got killed at the end of the film, right? And in the next film, I think it was Sean Connery was back again, and he was trying to kill the guy who killed his wife in the previous film. So if there were two different, if each James Bond is a different fucking spy, why would one spy be trying to kill the guy who killed the other spy's wife? It doesn't make sense. Just that little inconsistency, and the fact that even Roger Miller mentioned that he was married, but she got killed. I think even Timothy Dalton said it was mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the thing. This is what I wanted to touch on. So I'll take over while Dodge is gone. So we were talking about earlier in the stream in regards to race swapping, gender swapping. Here's the issue I have. Using James Bond as an example, if you really were hell-bent on doing, say, a Jane Bond, there are ways to go about things that aren't just a simple race swap or gender swap for the sake of diversity. Like, you could set up a story where James Bond's running around fucking everything that has two legs that he can stick his dick in, let's be honest.
Yeah, bastard daughter.
Yeah, he could have a bastard daughter. She's here we go. We'll set up a story. So James is getting ready to go on his last mission. Pick any female from any previous movie. He had a daughter with her. It never met him. Meets him. He's going on his last mission. Ends up getting killed. She finds out about it. She goes on a revenge mission.
Oh, there's another way to do it. Yeah, sit with the bastard daughter bit, right? There's this young girl, any race you like. Obviously, a bit of European in her, or British, if you prefer. She's been selected and recruited into MI6, and she's training. Bond's training her, right? Like I say, he gets killed, and then, because he was her mentor. She seeks revenge, goes on a revenge mission, and then finds out he actually was her father. It also works that way.
Yeah, see, there's a lot of ways you could do this without doing the simple, he was
always a woman. He was just a master of disguise thing.
That's the thing. There's with a lot of how these writers are, how these artists are, where they just want to gender swap or race swap everybody because they want to coattail everything, but then shift it to fit their thing. It's like, no, the same way that they always say you can go ahead and make your own. It's not made for you. There are ways you can actually introduce a female Bond character that would make sense and would actually make for a compelling story that fans of the franchise would actually like and appreciate because they'd care about the character.
Yep. And you notice when they say that, you can always go away and make your own. It's not for you. It's usually after they've taken over something that we made.
That's the thing. What you two have just said. I mean, when I had the foundation in setting, but besides the point on that one, it comes to the point of you can separate the two mini franchises. So you can stick with having your James Bond as your main crux of your franchise, with also adding to an extra mini franchise of the same universe as Batman said before, of Jane Bond. But you can have them intermingling, doing your own movies, so on and so forth. If you have the two separate...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you have the two separate franchises, mini franchises in between each other, you can do so many mashes together and have separate stories, different actors, and so on and so forth, that you have your own, let's say, your own idolship for each gender or each sex, depending on how you want to put it.
And the beauty of that is you can expand upon that universe, introduce different characters, and have their own films and and series of films.
Exactly.
Even bad guys.
On CSG, if they were really smart, what they would do is they'd have a Bond movie, and somewhere in that movie you would introduce, the bastard daughter. And if you really want to be creative with it, have the bastard daughter be taken under the wing of whatever the villain of that movie is.
Usually Spectre.
Redemption arc. Normally what you would do with children of good guys, they turn out bad and then good again.
Yeah, so you do that, and then right at the end of the movie, then, 007, let me introduce you to 009, and it's his daughter. And then you could do a 009 movie. You wouldn't even need 007 in it. Boom, now you have 2 movie franchises. You just expanded it, and guess what? We know it's all about making money. So guess what? You get the best of both worlds. You get to appease the my strong female empower women's crowd without ruining the original character, and you still get to set it in the same universe, and you can still do crossovers with it. Now you have 2 movies where you would have had 1. That's the smart way to do it.
I feel like I've said this.
Yeah, you have. It just needed saying in American.
True.
I'm surprised they don't do that with more franchises as opposed to just doing race swaps or gender swaps. Because to be blunt, let's be honest, regardless of where you fall, that's cheap. That is just cheap. It's not creative, and it's not doing anybody any favors.
And this is one of the reasons why the Supergirl franchise, CW Supergirl, is and Batgirl is so hated, because those characters were around beforehand, but in the comics they were their own characters. They made their own waves, their own villains character. But the Supergirl show basically tried to rewrite all the Superman mythos to be Supergirl mythos, and belittle the origin of where Supergirl sprang from. The same with the Batwoman thing.
In what way with Supergirl?
Well,
bearing in mind that I know the comics very well and I know the franchise very well.
But do you know the CW very well?
Yes, I watched it for 5 seasons and then it got fucking shit. But
it got shit. The
first 2 seasons were fine.
It got shit after Tyler Hoechlin, or Hoechlin, or whatever he's called, was in the first 2-parter of the season 2. But look at her mother. That was a replacement Jor-El. Then her evil auntie was both a replacement Jor-El and a replacement General Zod. Then she starts getting like the for the man who had everything was for the woman who had everything story arc. So many others, and they don't understand how things work. Like Kryptonite, for example. They've got a Kryptonite fucking training room for her, so that she doesn't. That's not how Kryptonite works. Kryptonite doesn't remove green Kryptonite. It does not remove the powers. It weakens them because they're getting poisoned.
Yes,
they've still got the powers, but they're getting poisoned. She'd still be throwing her sister, adopted sister, all over the fucking place, but she'd be dying. There's one of the episodes where they found somebody who was making a bomb from unstable kryptonite. I'm thinking, but all kryptonite is unstable. And the Martian man, but green kryptonite is the most stable substance there is. No, it's not. It's radioactive, you dickhead.
Yeah. I can't defend that bit.
But there's all sorts of stupid stuff.
This was, I believe, in the first season, where Kara remarks that they used to go on holidays to other planets. That totally invalidates the reason to send Superman and Supergirl to Earth in the first place.
Yeah, but there's
it doesn't.
Superman.
Yes, it does. Because, let's face it, there'd be millions of fucking Kryptonians on other planets because they were on holiday when the planet exploded. There'd probably be expat communities.
No, you're correct.
Well, no, think about this, though. There is a Superman comic where he meets Dracula. Dracula feeds from Superman and dies because his blood is like sunlight.
Which is there's also one where Superman meets Dracula and Dracula feeds on him and turns him into a vampire.
Yeah,
that was a good comic.
So I mean,
kind of silly as well.
The whole universe is matched, and it's
Well,
almost as bad
both
as
of
the
the
Scooby
ones
Doo
that we,
universe. I mean,
Mad,
shit,
both
Scooby
of,
Doo
both
meets
of,
Batman.
both of the ones that we've mentioned were at the time called imaginary tales, so that they never actually happened.
I was just about to bring up a lot of those stories. They're not exactly canon.
Yeah,
They're one-offs, or they're imaginings. It's like the equivalent of Marvel's What If series.
yeah,
And you can't do that. You can't do that in a franchise that you want to maintain a degree of continuity, especially like with the CW, where you can't say, or you can't treat, for example, like what Batman was bringing up, you can't treat kryptonite as being a poison, but then at the same time saying it's a stable substance because it's radioactive. Like, no, that doesn't fit with continuity. It breaks continuity.
yeah.
It breaks the whole fucking storyline. It doesn't work that way.
Oh, and the other thing, I mean, Superman is a vampire. Do you realize how useless Superman would be as a vampire? What's his power source?
But he likes the sun. He can be a
Yeah.
daywalker.
No, he couldn't. He turned to
He's the new
dust.
Blade.
He turned to dust only because his body absorbs solar radiation. He probably turned to dust a lot quicker than any other vampire.
And suddenly now, if he was a daywalker, you just end up with a fucking fan fiction that nobody wants to watch.
I don't know. There'd be somebody that want to watch it as a fan fiction. Remember Rule 52.
Didn't they call that Blade?
Hey, there's another one. Do you know that originally, at least up until the Wesley Snipes movies, Blade was not a vampire. He was immune to vampirism.
I did not know that. I always thought he was a vampire. Every single
Nope.
Marvel thing I ever watched was the fact of him being a daywalker.
Yeah, how old are you? I'm not being insulting.
Well, no. I'm only, what, 30?
Right. How long have you been into Marvel?
Probably since I was 15.
Was that from the movies or?
Mostly from cartoons, actually, from like Spider-Man and things like that, and
Yeah.
crossovers.
Thought so. I mean, I started reading Marvel comics in 1972.
Well, if I remember correctly,
The Dracula stories I started when they started being produced, reprinted over here in 1974. Blade popped up in the vampire, the Dracula Lives stories. He was born when his mother was being drained by a vampire who had actually turned himself into a vampire by alchemical means. So there was a vampire Blade out there, but it was like a clone of the original Blade.
well, if I remember correctly, Batman wasn't the Blade that we know now from the comics that later became Blade, like in the late 80s, early 90s. Didn't he get bit but not turned, and that's why has stronger powers, but he's not an actual vampire?
I'm not sure. I honestly think the Blade that we have now came in about entirely because of the Wesley Snipes movies. Like I said, he was immune to vampirism, but there was one way he became a vampire because that clone I mentioned, when they met, it sort of merged with him and took him over. It was actually Damon Hellstrom who actually managed to separate the two.
See, so maybe that's what I'm thinking of, because I thought what it was is he got bit, but he actually didn't. He didn't succumb to vampirism, but he still got the benefits from it. So he had like the super strength, speed, smell, that type of shit. But he wasn't an actual vampire.
As far as I know, he was. Yes, I am, Ms. Murder, and you're just a fetus. But
To be fair, she is young.
Yeah, I know. She should still be wearing diapers.
But she's not that young.
Look, hey, don't you kink shame me.
Get back to telling your stories of Blade, old man.
The reason I brought that up is because I thought, and this could have been one of the side stories that's not canon to like Blade proper, but I thought that's the reason he was being hunted, is because they thought his blood would be the cure for vampirism, versus he just wanted to kill him.
Oh, who? Dracula.
No, Blade. Dracula might have been in the comics that I'm thinking of. I think these
would have been.
Yeah, I think these were the early 90s, late 80s.
That's when I went on my Marvel silence, because I thought the comics were starting to get a bit shit about then.
Yeah, they got weird. They got weird around that time. That's when Marvel started selling off all their licenses too, because they're doing what they're about to do today and go freaking bankrupt.
Yeah.
Well, no, I thought Batman for a second said, "Oh no, that was the years I went on my sabbatical or some shit." Oh, I could just imagine Batman up in the Himalayas, meditating with
Talking
food.
about superheroes and vampires, the best one for that was the Batman Dracula trilogy.
Well, it is October, and they're sending mixed messages out with Halloween. So at first they're like, cancel Halloween. And now they figured out, well, I mean, the kids have a mask on. So they're like, Halloween, but socially distanced.
Wait,
How do you socially distance rabid kids dressed up like monsters on Halloween?
oh, I can answer that one. Cattle prods.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Didn't say it was moral or legal, but it works.
And I
Said
mean,
that as if I tried it.
and what is everybody just going to leave their candy outside the door? Because I remember being a kid or even a teenager, the houses that left the candy
Fuck
outside.
it, I remember being an adult and still doing it.
Yeah,
that's the reason why you go out with your little cousin or whatever, right?
well, yeah, and the houses with the candy outside the door, the candy was only out there for about half an hour.
When I was a kid, we didn't do Halloween wasn't like it is now over here. And
that's because you're old.
We used to go. It wasn't for sweets and that. It was penny for Halloween.
Yeah,
we used to make good money.
Yeah, yeah. You should get about £1.50, £2 for each house.
Yeah, you'd go up with your hollowed up turnip.
Oh Jesus! For Jesus.
Well, no, I thought Halloween over there was they kind of paid the children off to not, because trick or treat.
Yeah,
right?
Americans
like
have
you either
weird
pay us or we're gonna damage some shit.
Yeah, Americans have weird ideas about the UK. I mean, hold on, they're going to damage shit over here. I mean, that's what trick or treat is in America. We've heard about it, having your windows soaped in your house, toilet papered. Yeah, some kid knocking on your door and you open it up and there's a bag of burning dog poop on the floor.
Yeah, we always thought we got that from you guys.
We got it from you.
We got it from you.
We got it from you. That's a definite.
One of our tricks was fishing line, and you carefully you tie it to one door knocker, right? And you carefully loop it through all the door knockers on a street, right? Go and hide behind a bush and pull it, and everybody answers the door at the same time, and there's nobody there.
So that's like an elaborate ding-dong ditch?
Yeah. I can remember doing that many a time. And once when we actually got caught by the coppers and got our asses kicked.
Oh.
By the way, he's old enough for actually it to be a literal ass-kicking as well, by the way.
It was a literal ass-kicking.
Yeah, we didn't get our asses beat by the cops, but there was one time we were out terrorizing the town, in the city I lived in, they had Scandinavian Festival, and it had roadblocks, blocking off the little area of town where the festival was. Well, we stole the roadblocks, and we set roadblocks up on random streets in town. And we just terrorized shit. I'm not going to say everything because I don't want to get in trouble.
But it was when Spring became a thing.
I got to finish this. You'll laugh your ass off, Batman. We were walking by a car lot, right? And all of a sudden we see a cop car. And so we all duck and roll underneath the cars thinking we're all smart, right? The cop just stops, turns on the speaker thing, the intercom, and goes, "Go the fuck home." We're like, "Oh, okay, bye."
I remember late 70s, springy snakes became available, right? They were dirt cheap. I mean, literally dirt cheap. So around Halloween, we'd all get a bunch of them, right? And we put them in boxes, duct taped. Not on people's doors, there was a box there. So they'd pick the box up, rip the duct tape open and get heart attacks. That was fun.
Giving people heart attacks.
Well, you know, not literal heart attacks, but hiding around the bush when somebody opens a box full of springy snakes was hilarious as a kid.
Yeah.
I've never actually seen a box of springy snake things. Like I've seen them on TV, but I never actually had one.
And then there was a trick where you get a balloon, you fill it with flour, right? You secure it above somebody's door, and you hide behind a bush, knock on the door with the fishing line. They open the door and get hit in the face with a balloon full of flour.
That's some Home Alone shit right there.
Where do you think they got the ideas from? British kids.
But all right, CSG put this in the private chat. BBC News: police apologize after telling wrong family about teenager's death. Yeah, that's happened over here before, and
Yeah, it's
could
happened
you
over here.
just imagine?
If I was a parent, I would take the fucking constabulary to court.
Well, it's almost like that scene in Saving Private Ryan where they tell the wrong Private Ryan. He's like, "What? My little brother? He's only 4. How'd he die?"
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I like that. I do like that one.
One of the best scenes in that film, when they caught that German and they let him go. They got the part where the German's walking down the trail towards the road, so he can he can get to his own lines. Yeah, the acting in that was so brilliant. You could tell every step that guy could feel a bullet hitting him in the back of the head, couldn't he?
Yeah, I mean that movie was pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
I liked the choreography in that movie. The way they shot the battle scenes was
one of the bits that got me was they just land on the beaches and there's this American guy ducks down. There's a bullet zings off his helmet, so he takes his helmet off to look at it. Yeah, and his mouth was "Thank God," and he gets hit in the head again.
Well, yeah, it's like if you've ever played that game, Call of Duty. It was one of the ones for the PS2 though. It was like Call of Duty, D-Day or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get off the fucking landing crafts right there on the beach, and you're shot immediately. You gotta do that fucking opening mission like 10 million times.
Yeah, that's when it got ported over to the PC, and you could actually use the God mode cheat.
Yeah, but in real life, you didn't get God mode. You didn't get the restart.
Well, you kind of
did.
Those
guys got off those landing crafts, and they were done.
You kind of did get God mode. It was called the guys in front of you.
No, Batman, that's called a human shield.
Same difference. You didn't die.
To quote South Park, Operation Get Behind the Darkie.
Oh.
Apparently, Pinoid's saying cops beat him. We all know why that is, don't we?
They were jealous.
Yes.
That and stop fucking their wives, Pinoid.
Yep, exactly. That's why, Pinoid, they're jealous of you. And stop fucking their wives.
But we're drifting off to D-Day here, so I think we are going to wrap it up. Yeah. Thank you, Batman, CSG, and of course Doku for coming on. Any last thoughts, guys?
Yeah, if you go to France or Holland, make sure to sink their fishing ships.
Are you guys still arguing over that shit?
Oh, yeah. The Dutch have actually said that they own British waters.
Huh. Interesting. Any last thoughts, CSG? And are you going to be streaming more often again, or are you kind of done with the regular shows?
I think he's dealing with something off camera.
Yep, looks that way. So, yep, muted. All right, Doku, what's going on, man? We're going to try and do a review tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna review Enterprise. I'm gonna start with Enterprise, and we're going to. Oh no! Oh no!
What?
The next
What?
in chronological order of the new with the new Trek would be
Ah,
Discovery, after Enterprise, and then TOS. Right.
yeah, that, to me, the new Trek does not exist.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there, and hopefully blow it up long before we're there. But
Yep.
Yep.
we're gonna start reviewing Enterprise. Tomorrow will be Broken Bow, part 1 and 2, and yeah, we're gonna watch it, take a few notes, and go ahead and roll with our review. I don't know how long it'll go for, but damn it, I've been saying I'm gonna review Star Trek regularly. I'm gonna fucking do it now.
Got to admit, Enterprise is one of my guilty pleasures. I think it's shite, but I like it.
I started watching it again, and I'm like, I need to do these Star Trek reviews. I should
One
start
thing,
with
like,
Enterprise.
one thing on Star Trek, especially the Next Generation era, which I think is absolutely stupid. And I'm not even going to mention families on active ships. It's the fucking touchscreen control surfaces. They're an idiotic idea to have on a ship that's going to see combat.
Yeah, I would think.
Main power goes. You've only got auxiliary power. Oh dear, the control surfaces are being turned off.
Well, the Enterprise had that joystick thing, and
Well, the Enterprise, when you look at it, in Enterprise, it's push buttons.
well, yeah, I'm talking about the Generations movie where they pop open the manual controls, and it's like a fucking. It looks like a video game of, I don't know, joystick. That's all it is. But CSG, I did ask you a question and you were busy. Are you going to start doing a regular show again, or just every now and then?
I, for fuck's sake, can you hear me?
Yep.
Right, yeah. I have literally no idea what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, or even how I'm doing it. I'm so busy with real life at the minute. I'm getting ready to put my name down as a candidate for a local area. I'm still doing college work. I'm doing other bits and pieces and whatnot. So my time's pretty divided at the minute.
Oh, out of curiosity, what flag are you flying under?
Believe it or not, the party is called the Liberal Party.
As opposed to the Lib Dems.
Yeah, definitely. I would die before I joined the Lib Dems.
Yes.
I'd rather join Labour than the Lib Dems, and everybody knows how much I hate Labour.
I used to be a Labour voter. I haven't voted Labour since the early 2000s.
Yeah, I'm not surprised considering that your accent sounds like you're from Yorkshire.
Actually, I'm from County Durham, so
Oh, never
quite
mind
well.
then.
Don't worry.
Well,
At
I
least,
wish
you,
you
at least you
luck.
didn't think I was Scottish.
No.
Well, CSG, genuinely, I wish you luck in your endeavors. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Please hit like, subscribe, and I guess if you hit F5, it refreshes and that gives extra views. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that works or not.
Well, if you're really lucky, you can press Control and F11, and yeah, we'll see you on the flip side.
Oh, yes, and before we go, type one in the chat if you think Dodger Stadium should be converted to a swimming pool.
1.
I don't see nothing, and there is no delay right now. We're out of here. Peace.